What's up, guys, and welcome to Louisiana, where this time we're going to figure out if you can win the national championship by only going after one-star recruits. Now, we've done this with 5 stars before, and we found out that after 5 years, it actually became pretty easy. But this time, I think we're going to be in for a bigger challenge. Now, obviously, quantity isn't going to be an issue in this one because there are going to be a ton of one-star recruits. But at the same time, being able to develop them into a team that could be a championship caliber team, I think is going to be a little bit difficult. So we're going to put a 6-year limit on this one because, especially if we're going after just one-star recruits, I think if we can't do it in 6 years, it might just be impossible for us. But we'll figure this out, and hopefully we can get a national championship before the end of this video. Now, like I said, we are going to be using Louisiana. That's because it was the winner of the poll that we ended up putting up here on YouTube. And also, it is actually one of my coworkers' alma maters and favorite teams. So I have to say a big thank you out to him for putting this team on the map for me. And also, sorry for having to do this with one-star recruits. But still figure it out, hoping that we can actually get a championship as we sign our name on the dotted line there. And hopefully, again, we can actually find some good players here. I don't know if anyone actually can have more than a normal development if they're a one-star recruit, but we'll definitely find out as we get into the recruiting. Now, instead of a recruiter this time, we actually went with the motivator path. The main reason for that is because even though we are still going to be looking for a lot of players here, I don't think it's going to be as difficult as it was with the 5 stars. Plus, at this point, we're really looking for development more than anything else because without that, I don't know if we're actually going to have a team to be able to field. At least not one that would be competent enough to be able to win a national championship. So let's actually scout some of these guys. Maybe we can actually find not necessarily a hidden gem down here, but someone who's pretty good. But a receiver with 77 speed and 78 acceleration with 60-something a route. But we have no choice. Someone like that is going to have to be someone that we recruit. And thankfully, this is a little bit better. At least it's an 89 speed, 90 acceleration, but still, the route running is a little tough, and the catching is still a little low too, but still, it's definitely someone that hopefully we can prioritize here. And hey, we actually found our first gem. It's a middle linebacker, Greg Dillard. It's nice to see that we can actually find gems here. But unfortunately, I think that means that we can also find some busts too. And as a scrambler, he has 72 speed. I don't know if they necessarily fits that, but still, someone that we can go after. I mean, he's got 82 throw power, some pretty decent accuracy, at least short. So hey, might be able to be a quarterback of the future. And realistically, regardless of their stats, we are going to kind of have to go after these guys. So really, just to be able to kind of get in the game here, we're going to end up putting a lot of guys on scholarship, even though we haven't recruited them. Now, I know that might not sound like the smartest idea, but really, I'm just kind of in uncharted territory right now, because I'm not used to going after guys that are only 1 star. So with only 400 hours, I mean, it sucks that we're going to have to send the house on some of these guys, but still, at the same time, it's going to be really important to still get some of these guys early. Even though they're only 1 star, doesn't mean that they're going to be really easy to pick up every time. And you better believe we're going to be prioritizing that wide receiver and Dillard because, hey, a 1-star gem, maybe he might actually be an impact player. Now, I'm sure if we're a big school like Alabama or something like that, it'd be a lot easier to get these guys to commit, especially right away, but even though Louisiana is a great school, and especially the way that they've been playing this season in real life, they're still like a 1.5 star in this game. So it's going to be difficult to land some of these guys, despite the fact that at least we're in the lead on a lot of them right now. So let's sim through week 0. Let's see if maybe we can get some guy to commit, or at least get them into the top 5. And thankfully, we do get a lot of these guys in the top 5, and that means that we can actually not just schedule visits, but start to actually hard sell, because some of these guys, we already know what they want. And if we have good grades like the proximity to home, that's going to be good. That academic prestige, maybe not the best, but still, proximity to home is still good. Now, because it's going to be a big game against Tulane, I think that we're going to schedule him for week 4. It'd be really great if we were able to actually pull that one out. And especially since we're selling that proximity to home, I think that that might be a really great visit. And I think we'd be able to make him sign right away too. Now, we're going to bring Dillard in the same week and sell that proximity to home. We really don't have any good grades over there, so we're just going to have to go with the best one we got. But the fact that some of these guys are in their top 5 already is really good for us. Gives us a chance to be able to sign them pretty quickly. But let's sim through this first game against FCS Southeast, against the Pandas. Hopefully we can come out the other side with a big victory. And already right away, Dalton Boykins ends up committing. It's really great, and Sydney Blue too. Already got a couple commits. I don't know if that's good or not. I only say that because it just seemed way too easy. But again, Boykins is that receiver with 89 speed, 90 acceleration. Again, we need to work on that deep route running and everything, but we'll definitely get there over time. And Sydney Blue is actually not too bad either. I mean, 73 strength, 69%, not too bad as a right end. Now, I do want to test one thing out. Now, because these guys are 1-star, again, they don't necessarily have guys going after them all the time. So some of these guys, despite the fact that we haven't really recruited them yet, I want to put 10 hours on them. And I really want to see if maybe we jump up their board pretty quickly. That would be great because that would mean that we wouldn't have to send the house on a lot of guys and we'd be able to spread hours out a lot more. That would mean that we'd have a much larger class, and I don't know if we'd be able to actually roster all of them, but at the same time, it'll be able to allow us to pick up a lot of guys, be able to see where they're at in terms of like their overalls. But we're going to end up going for the family visit for Sammy here because that is that A+. And maybe we can actually get him to sign pretty quickly. That's going to be a nice little complimentary visit with Dillard, too. So, big matchup against Kennesaw State here. We are both 1-0 as we ended up beating the Pandas. Pretty handily, too, because it looks like, despite the fact that that doesn't show anything, we ended up winning 28-6. I don't know what's up with that. We did not face Air Force, obviously. But Wooldridge, 333, 2 touchdowns and an interception. He is a senior, so we're going to have to figure out our quarterback situation going forward. But Perry and Davis both on the ground, a touchdown apiece. And receiving, Broussard, 145 and a touchdown. And well, maybe the defense didn't necessarily get TFLs or many sacks or anything like that. At least they held them to 6. I just wanted to see the stats of that game just to see how we'd stack up against an FCS team. Doesn't really give me much hope for the future. But look at that, we ended up getting another commit, another receiver. Nate Sammy commits as well, so I guess we're not bringing him in on a visit. Well, maybe they still do make it. I don't know necessarily how that works, but it's nice getting another receiver in there. And we also get a cornerback. Our second one on defense, but the first one in the secondary. And that is actually awesome to see, especially since we're the only ones that offered a scholarship. But just putting 10 hours actually jumped us up to number 1 on these guys. Now, obviously, they're still in their top 10, and that means that there's still going to be some other teams to be able to offer scholarships, but it's actually good to know right off the bat. So that means I'm actually going to put 10 on a lot of these other guys too. Maybe we can actually save a couple just to be able to bring someone else in on a visit, but still, maybe we can actually get some interest from these guys. So with a couple of guys visiting the week after this bye week, we definitely need to make sure that we come out with a win. Hopefully we'll actually get to see 1 or 2 commit before we end up getting into the game though. And we did. Greg Dillard ended up signing, that is that gem. And Okafor as well. He was the one who was coming this week as well. Still think we're going to play the game for the fun of it, but still, it's nice to be able to actually see some commits right away. I mean, they are 1-star, so I don't know how excited I really necessarily should get, but still, nice to actually see some guys on the board. Now, we're going to bring Biggs in as well because it's going to be a nice little complimentary visit as well. And it'd be nice to be able to get a quarterback too. Now, the funny thing is, all the guys that we ended up putting 10 hours on actually have us at number 1, so we might actually have a pretty big class here, but how highly will it be rated, right? So I did change my mind. Since we actually don't have anyone visiting this week that we need to have commit, I think we're just going to skip over this game against Tulane. We're 2-0 right now. I feel like we can come out with a win in this one too. And unfortunately, we don't. But I promise you, before the end of this video, we are going to beat Tulane with 1-star recruits. I'm promising you that. Now, since we don't really have many other guys that are going to be coming in, or have the ability to come in at least, I think I'm actually going to use these hours to start scouting these guys just to see if they're actually going to be worth it. And hey, Hundley is actually an 87-speed corner. We might be able to develop him quite a bit. I really think that our best chance at a championship is going to be in one of these first couple of years because despite the fact that some of those stats don't look horrible, don't really think that they're going to produce championship quality players. But Tyler Biggs does end up committing. That's nice. We're going to have at least 1 quarterback. And it's nice to actually be 3-1 right now. But we are going to get into Sun Belt Conference play coming up very soon as we move Biggs down here with the rest of the other commits. But with these hours, we're going to bring a couple guys in on visits. And Jake Freeman here is actually going to come in week 11, +2 with the complimentary visits, which is great. Plus, if we end up winning another +2, we're going to end up trying to sell that proximity to home at a B+. Don't worry, eventually we will scout all of these guys. Hopefully we didn't end up getting anyone that would end up being a bust or anything. But here we go. First conference game of the season. We're 3-1. Can we be 1-0 in conference here? And we do pick up the win, but as we see right here, there are a lot of guys that might end up transferring in some pretty decent overalls too. And there's someone that's not going to be on the team next year, but Sunbelt Defensive Player of the Week, Antoine Bayless, 3 sacks. That's incredible. And unfortunately, we lost our first commit of the season to Kent State of all schools. I honestly thought that he was going to make for a really great cornerback for us, but unfortunately, that's just not going to be the case. Wasn't in the cards. But enough about the guys that we're looking at for future seasons. Totally forgot to look at the guys that we have right now. So obviously, like I said before, our quarterback is a senior. In fact, the top two guys are seniors, 83 and 81 overall. Only one that we got in the back is a freshman redshirt who is a 72 overall. Might have to be the one that we go with for a little while, so it's nice that we actually still have someone on the team like that. Now, our halfback is a sophomore, including a couple more that are juniors, and one that's all the way in the back as a freshman, and honestly, it's probably going to be better than some of the guys that we end up bringing in. Now, in terms of receivers, we do have a couple guys that are going to be here for a little bit longer. Obviously, Broussard is a sophomore as a 78 overall, which is going to be really great. And a couple other guys who are sophomores as well that are going to fill in really well. Tight end is a sophomore as well, and another one that's a freshman, so they'll be here for a little bit. And our offensive line actually looks pretty young too. A couple of sophomores and then a couple of seniors as well, but still, a couple of pretty young guys that are going to be here for a little bit too. And then on defense, junior, senior, a couple seniors as well, so might actually have to look at stepping up our recruitment for defensive players going forward, because some of these guys look like they're upperclassmen, except for Glass is going to be good for a bit as well. So we just need to make sure that we keep these guys for a bit, because I saw a lot of guys that ended up wanting to transfer, and yeah, we really can't afford to lose these guys. We're not going to be able to win with all 1-stars. But that does give us a chance to jump into our first game that we can against Appalachian State. We got a couple guys visiting this week. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I'm really excited to see how this team actually plays in this game. Been used to playing with like UNC and lately a little bit with San Diego State as well. So it's going to be interesting to see another team, especially in the Sun Belt. But as we're getting to the end of the first half, we're down 7-0. Our offense just isn't producing right now. So we really need to find some ways to be able to get some points here. What a spin move by Washington. But he ends up fumbling and gets it right back to Appalachian State. That is so bad. Somehow we get it right back. And now we got a chance to actually score here. Question is, can we? As he gets free, and he ends up holding on to it, we got it past midfield right now. I should have known these guys were going to be a little bit difficult, because I remember the one thing that I remember them from, no, that is not the route that I was expecting, and that was a bad throw. But I remember when these guys ended up beating Michigan a while ago, and that was a really big upset. Granted, this was a long-ass time ago, as we can't hold on to the ball. But I remember that like it was yesterday. We actually had a guy on our team that was a huge Michigan fan. And so I remember how upset he was that next day at school. Felt bad for him. He was a really, really awesome guy. But still, who likes Michigan, right? Let's see if we can get it to our halfback. Let's get it out. Nice little spin move. We step out of bounds. And to be able to get some points before half would be extremely huge right here, as we just get it on the out route and we get the first down. We got a real shot to be able to get in the end zone right here as we take the wrong read. And that's going to be a flag? Is that going to be a pass interference for no reason? Well, okay, we'll take it. We're not going to get that every single time, so let's just not make a habit of that. So let's go. I think we're just going to pound this one right up the middle. Don't want to give them too much time. So if we can get stopped here and be able to pick up, well, we don't get stopped. We get in the end zone 7-7. Let's just make sure we hold them. Well, we didn't hold them, and now we're down by 3 scores. Crazy how things happen in the span of a game, and that's going to be a pick. That was not the button I wanted to throw to. And if the game wasn't over already, it definitely is now. And even though we trade scores one more time, we still go down by 3 scores. And that's not great because we're not going to do it with this roster. It's going to be tough with just 1-stars. And there's no shot that anyone really wants to commit after that one. I feel like we're going to end up losing those 2 guys. And while we haven't lost them yet, question is, are we still going to be number 1 on their list? Well, maybe that's going to be the benefit of going after 1-stars. That's going to be the easy challenge of this, is actually getting them to come to the school. Developing them into an actual good football player, and that might be a different story. And since I think that we can actually land these guys without going for a hard sell and just DMing them and bring them in for a visit, I think we're just going to do that. Since we're not going to have another visit until week 11, we're just going to be able to sim through a lot of these games. Question is, are we going to be able to pick up some wins? We're doing pretty fine in sim, but once we get into conference play, is that going to be the case as we end up getting another commit? Gerald Richard, defensive tackle. However, we do end up picking up a win, and we're 3rd in the Sun Belt right now, 2-1. And now that we have the time to actually fully scout some of these guys, because we're still number 1 on everyone's board, I don't think we really have to put many hours on them. But we actually see that Biliami Luani from Chesterfield, Virginia, is actually pretty decent. I mean, 85 throw power with some pretty decent short accuracy, 76 speed and 85 acceleration. might be pretty good too. We're going to have some pretty good options. Well, maybe good is an overstatement, but you know what I mean. So let's advance the week. Let's see if we can get a commit. I saw there was one guy that we're actually second on his list, so hopefully we don't lose him. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but since we are number 2 on his list right now, despite the fact that none of these grades are really, really great, I'm still going to go for the hard sell. Maybe that'll be enough to push him over the edge. I mean, even though all of his stats aren't necessarily fantastic, I think they're going to be pretty good for a 1-star. We always kind of have Samson as a backup plan, but I think that Bello might be a little bit better. That means since we aren't going to have a visit for a couple of weeks, again, we're going to sim through this week against Texas State. They're 6-1. Hopefully we can come out with a win too. Well, whether we did or didn't, we got Buck Weir to end up committing. 1-star, obviously. But we did end up losing Bello to New Mexico State, as we did end up losing that one. We're down to 5-3, one more game, and we end up actually being bowl eligible, but man, I don't think we're going to have a chance in the Sun Belt now. And obviously, we have a lot of guys that do end up wanting to transfer. So let's hope that maybe we can get a little bit better here at the end of the season and kind of keep a lot of these guys. Since Higbee is actually getting close to committing and also having another school really rise up their board pretty quickly, again, even though it's not necessarily going to be a great hard sell, we're going to end up going with that. If we end up losing him because of that, then at least we'll know not to do that in the future. But this is going to be one of those weeks where we have a lot of guys visiting. We got Craig Cook visiting this week. We also have Freeman as well as Bibbs. So it's going to be a really big week, and I'm really excited to see if we can actually pull some of these guys. Obviously, we're going to be playing Arkansas State at home, another Sun Belt Conference matchup, and it looks like, again, we have the overall advantage. But again, that didn't matter last time, did it? Hopefully it will this time, though, as we have a chance to go up pretty early here. And we go with the RPO. Can we get around him? He spun the wrong way. And all it takes is one play to be able to get into the end zone, as we end up hitting him over in the corner there, and we got it in for the first score of the game. And we seem to have everything in control for a bit, but they've scored a couple times here at the end of the game as we don't get the RPO. As we have a 3rd and 4 now, we just need to be able to pick this one up, and we'll get that with the drag. And I think we might be able to win this game now, although we need to burn all 3 of their timeouts. The way we're marching the ball downfield, I don't think it's going to be that tall of an order as we cut it upfield, and never mind, because we end up getting a hold on that one. Well, so much for that, but let's try that again. Maybe we can actually get some pretty quality blocks out there, and we don't. And looking at their defense right now, we might be able to burn them deep, so what do you say we try to do that? Because, come on, man, are you really going to just press them right now? 2nd and 20? Let's go now. Oh yeah, he's got him. He's got him. Oh, he just overthrows it though. But they're coming out with a very similar defense. I'm gonna try it again. I don't care what anyone says. Well, never mind, because it looks like they actually boxed that one up. And yeah, that's just gonna be a bad throw, and we're gonna have to punt. Or we can try for the field goal. That's moving a lot now, isn't it? Can we do this? Does it have enough? Come on, get through! That is a big kick, and I think that's going to seal the game now. And now on 4th and 5, if we end up picking up the stop right here, we end up getting the win. We get the ball back, but we can't get any pressure, but we end up swatting that one out. And now we get the ball back with 27 seconds, and we get the win. Maybe not a pretty win, but it's a win nonetheless, and that makes us bowl eligible this season. And hopefully that home win is going to produce at least 4 commits on this next screen. As we see, Craig Cook ends up committing defensive tackle, Jake Freeman, the right end, of course, Matthew Bibbs, free safety, left outside linebacker, Johnny Higbee, and those are the 4 that we need, and no one else went anywhere else. You gotta love to see it. Again, we are talking about 1-stars though, so I don't know why I'm that excited. And Keon Martin ends up getting the player of the week with 1 interception and 4 tackles. And unfortunately, since we already do have 4 players scheduled to come for the game against Troy, we're not going to be able to schedule anyone else to visit. So everyone that we have coming right now are going to have to be the only ones to visit, and that's going to be for the next 2 weeks. And this first one's going to be against South Alabama. They are 5-4, and we are just absolutely even in terms of overall and both sides of the ball. So let's make sure we go out there and hopefully we can prove we're the better 79 overall. And it looks like we do have a pretty even matchup as it's tied halfway through the 3rd at 14. We just need to pick up a big stop here and hopefully hold them to a field goal. Come on, get through there and get a little bit. And thankfully he's out. He had 1 foot out already? So thankfully that does hold them to 3. Now we just need to make sure that we end up picking up some yardage here. No way that ended up working. What a throw, and we got a first down. That legitimately probably should not have happened. That is incredible as we just sail it over his head. I thought we had a really good shot at a first down there, but apparently not, as we take the wheel, or the bubble, pardon me, and we get down to a 3rd and 4. So let's make sure that we don't overthrow Broussard on this one, or we can just scramble out. Oh, you know what? Hit him right here. There, they're playing way too deep on him, and we get it down to the 1-yard line. And now we just got to pound it into the end zone to be able to go up by those 4 points. Can we trust our offensive line? You bet we can. But now it's up to the defense to make a big stop here, because we cannot allow them into the end zone. We can deal with a field goal, but that ain't going to help them. That's why. And unfortunately, we can't get there to stop them 2nd and 1. Problem is, they do have all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. And unfortunately, we had 4 guys there, but no one wanted to go up and grab the ball. So at this point, if they're going to score, we want them to score fast, because we want that ball back to be able to get... Oh, come on, get out there. Wow, okay, you know what? We had a throw like that earlier. I'll give them that. It's just unfortunate that... Well, I guess that one was pretty important too. But either way, let's get in there. Come on, we need to find a way to pick it up. And unfortunately, we can't get to them. And they're just moving the ball downfield on us like it's absolutely nothing. They do go empty backfield on this one. Come on, let's find a way to get through there. They end up taking the drag. And unfortunately, we might have to allow them to get in. Although, no, we don't. If we can hold them to a field goal, we're going to be totally fine. Sorry, I don't know why I thought that the game was closer than 4. I literally just said that a minute ago. Let's go! Thankfully, we didn't end up hitting them, but they do get down to the 2-yard line. I only say that because that could have been a roughing the passer, and we do not want to give them a first down right away. Oh my gosh, we get in, but unfortunately, they got the pass off before we could actually get to them. Now it's going to be a 3-point game. But thankfully, we do have 1:21, and we do have all 3 timeouts. That's really great to see as we hit the halfback out of the backfield, and we pick up 2. Now, don't get me wrong, we are trying to work the ball downfield pretty quickly, but it's not like we necessarily have to hurry up because we don't want them to get the ball back. Granted, on 3rd and 8, we do not want to give them the ball back this early in the game, too, as we end up hitting the crosshair. Let's go. Thankfully, we finally pick up the first down, and I feel a lot more confident now as we end up hitting the out, and he gets in down to the 49. But they're going to be challenging that because, yeah, it didn't look like he actually had any feet down. But they're still going to count it. So let's go. 50 seconds left, all 3 timeouts. Let's be smart about this as we get the guy out of the backfield, but he drops it. The thing about that is that it at least stops the clock for us. We don't have to waste one of our timeouts. So come on, we need... Oh, we got the out! But we couldn't get it out there enough. Maybe if we would have lofted that a little more, we would have been able to get it. But come on, we're looking to the right side of the field on this one. Oh, that's bad. Get over there. What an aggressive catch, and we get the first down. We are getting bailed out so much, and I appreciate it more than anyone knows. Oh, we're taking a deep shot. This is not going to be good. Yeah, that was not smart on our part, especially considering the fact that we are in field goal range. Well, no, actually, no, we're not. My bad. I don't know why I thought that we were. We actually get a huge play on that one, and we're going to have to call our first time out. We got the first down, but we didn't get out of bounds, unfortunately. And I just wanted to get a little bit of a breather as we get the guy out of the backfield again. Washington can't get to the sideline. And we're going to hurry up right here because I don't necessarily want to waste the timeout. Although now that I'm looking at it, we probably should have. Let's get this. We'll get him up there. Really great catch. Never mind. He drops it. So we got 2 options right here. We're going to get Broussard or we're going to get Bernard. One of the 2. And we're going to try Broussard. Get there in the end zone. Oh, we can't hold on to him. We're going to have to take the 3. That was definitely not what we needed. And now we need to hit this field goal. And we get it right down the middle, and we're going to go to overtime. And now South Alabama ended up scoring, so we need to get in the end zone as well. Now, question is, if we do get into the end zone, do we end up going for 2, or do we end up just taking the extra point? Although, if we keep going backwards like that, it's really not going to matter. So... Oh my gosh, we get hit as we throw. Now, we do have to remember that we don't need a first down on this one. We just need to get closer. As we end up hitting them, let's go Washington! And we get all the way down to the 6-yard line. So we're going to be smart about this one and just run it to the outside. Feel a lot more confident with that than I would throwing it. Let's go. 2nd and goal. Let's just run it right up the middle. Get some good blocks, but we don't get all the way in. One more time right up the middle. Let's go. There we go. We get in the end zone. I think we're just going to take the extra point. And, of course, the defense end up giving up not just the score, but the 2-point conversion, too. So we have a lot to make up for here. As we end up hitting him maybe in the corner of the end zone. Absolutely not. I mean, hey, we did go into this game saying that this was going to be very evenly matched. And boy, we were not wrong. But can we hit him in the end zone? He's got the step, but we overthrow him. Again, we just need to get a little closer to the first down marker. And we're going to actually do this with our legs. Let's go, Woolridge. Get out to the first. We don't. I can't believe we're just a little short. Now we're just going to have to go right up the middle to be able to get the first. Now we're going to be smart about this and probably read the drag right here, as he's going to be wide open, but only picks up 4. Well, pretty much the same thing right here. I hate to say it, but if it's working, why not pick up the couple yards and Bernard gets in the end zone? Now we need to get the 2-point. But it didn't allow us to actually do it ourselves. I accidentally hit forward, and they didn't allow us to play it, and we don't get it. We lose. Are you kidding? I need to keep that in mind for next time. This Gio Lopez, 4 touchdowns, 333 as a freshman. Yikes. Really don't want to have to deal with that for a couple of years. The same way we don't want to have to deal with having to sim over a 2-point conversion that we end up not getting. So let's go on to the next week, and let's just know that we're pretty much done in the conference now. We just want to kind of pad our stats at this point. But thankfully, Bandy does end up committing 1-star corner, but he is the only one. And I'm glad that I actually kept scouting these guys, because I see that Devontae Adams here is actually a 1-star gem again. It's going to be nice to have that on the offensive line. But now that we have a good 14 guys signed and a lot of hours on a lot of other guys, and everyone's scouted now, let's get into our last home matchup against Troy. Now, again, we do have a couple guys that are going to be visiting this week, and Troy's a little worse than us, so hopefully we cannot have this one be an overtime game where we end up losing. But as we're halfway through the third quarter, we are down by 2 scores. Things are not looking good as we run to the outside. But it shouldn't be too difficult to get into the end zone as we go with the bubble, and we get it to Williams for the score. Thankfully, that gave us the confidence to go up by a score, and hopefully we can just kind of close it out right here. As we go with the bubble again, let's get it to Williams. We just need to stay in bounds. They do have all 3 timeouts, but as long as we can actually get, I think probably 2 more first downs, we might be okay. And this is where they're going to start to call them, so let's make sure that we get the first down right here as he misses his assignment. But that does happen from time to time. We just need to make up for that as we don't right there, and my gosh, we're going to have to punt. That means the defense needs to pick up a big stop right here, per usual. And always seemed to be the case here at the end of the game. We have yet to blow out any opponent as we can't jump that route. It's all right. Hey, 1 mistake, and we end up getting the win. Although, it also kind of goes the other way, too. If we allow them to burn past our defense, we're a little screwed. So let's make sure that we don't allow that to happen, right? It's Troy. Let's get through there. They have to take their check down. They're almost up at midfield. They're going in the hurry up here. Now, thankfully for us, if they do get in the end zone, it at least will only be a tie, but we really want to make sure that we end up just shutting the door right here, as they're going to waste a ton of seconds trying to get back to the line. They need to get set, and here we go. Let's get back there again. They take another check down, and we end up getting them down for a 3rd and 18. So let's kind of push some guys back here. 40 seconds, 3rd and 18. They do have 2 downs to be able to get the first, but can we actually pick up a good one right here? As we don't, but let's get them down there around the 50-yard line. And now on a 4th and 10, they just need to go deep on this one. Let's just send a lot of guys back. Field goal is not going to help them if they get a first down. And they no longer have any timeouts. No way. Get them down. Come on, fumble. And we get the ball back. Something that I thought was going to be really detrimental to our game ends up being really good. We get the fumble and we get the win. God, that had me really worried at the end. You see, it was all Troy in the beginning, but we picked it up at the end. And thankfully for us, that's enough to bring Lousiana in, as well as Bolin and Marshall, a couple of really good offensive guys. Franklin Boyd, Abram, free safety, Hasten Hay. Okay, that's it. My bad. I thought we were going to go on a little bit longer. And that's good because we see right here, we got about 15 guys that want to transfer due to playing style and 7 more due to coach prestige. So since we have the hours, I think we're just going to max out everyone that we have on our board right now. And I just want to make sure that we do not fill up our entire board because who knows, maybe we'll find someone pretty good in the transfer portal. I think how we do in the transfer portal this season will dictate if I really want to focus on that going forward. But hopefully we can end the season on a really good note here as we take on Monroe. They're 1-10 right now. We need to go 8-4 this season. As we get Lorenz in to end up committing right tackle, as well as Sampson. Anyone else? Boye. That's great. Defensive players. Carlos Adams, a cornerback. We just need to make sure we can get that 1 gem. And thankfully we do end up winning. We end the season 8-4, and even though we're not going to do anything in the conference, hey, at least we're going to get a bowl game. And unless something really crazy happens here, these three might end up going into the offseason. And maybe I should just shut the f up sometimes, because Tony Kindred ends up committing. Same with Greg Officer, but we're still waiting for that one gem. Like I said, we are not in the conference championship, although we did go 8-4, so let's just kind of sim through it. And let's see what bowl we're going to get, as thankfully Davante Adams, the gem, ends up committing. Again, only a 1-star, but hey, that gem might actually give us a decent depth trade. And we're going to be getting the Idaho Potato Bowl against UNLV. That's going to be a fun one. And it is early National Signing Day, and here's one of the only depth traits that we're going to see that's not going to be normal, and that's going to be an impact on Davante Adams. Other than that, though, we got normal all the way pretty much across the board. Well, with the exception of Greg Dillard as well as Ian Okafor. He wasn't even a gem, and he is an impact. So it's actually nice to see that we're going to have some other guys that are not just normal dev. But I won't be showing too much of this bowl game because we are a 74 overall now. It means that a lot of guys are probably going to end up transferring or just didn't want to play. So let's kind of get to the end of the game. Let's see how we do. And it would have been nice to win the bowl game, but is it really going to make a difference when we're recruiting 1-stars? A lot of them are just going to end up committing anyways. Now, if this was the 5-star rebuild, completely different story. But again, that's not where we're at right now. So let's get into the offseason. Let's see who ends up getting into the national championship game. But before we do, let's just look at the stats for the season quickly. Woodridge ended up having about 3,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. It's probably the last time we're going to see that this rebuild. Davis, 563, averaged 6.2 with 7 touchdowns, and we didn't go to him anymore. Maybe we actually switched things up. Now, Broussard, who is going to be here for another couple of years, 963, 7 touchdowns. A couple other guys with 7 touchdowns as well, so it's not like our offense did horrible, they just weren't necessarily spectacular. The defense not too bad, some pretty good pressure, a couple guys with 5, 7, 7.5 sacks, not bad. 5 interceptions by Martin. Last time we're going to see him on the field, unfortunately. The question is, can we develop some of these 1-stars into guys that are actually going to be impact players regardless of their depth trade? As we see that Oregon actually beats Utah to be able to pick up their first championship, 41-34. Great game, guys. Wasn't expecting Utah. But now we get a chance to see who wants to leave this school. And that is going to be a lot of guys. My goodness, we're going to lose our freshman halfback, the 79 overall. Please tell me you want to come back. Thank you. Okay, we actually have a shot now. Now, even though we have a couple other guys that have a high chance, I think the only one that we're really going to try to get from these guys is Williams because he is a freshman. He has decided to stay. Let's try to get Glass because he is a sophomore, but we end up losing him at right outside linebacker. Now, question is, can we get some of these juniors to come back too? That's going to be pretty rough. Now, come on, one more chance. And no. But we have one more shot, and we're going to do that on Williams. Again, a junior 77 receiver who does not want to come back. And other than that, we do have a handful of other guys that are leaving to graduation, including this 87 overall. Keon Martin was really great this season, too. It's going to be tough, although it looks like we're going to have one guy that might go to the draft. And not just one, but 2. Keon Martin gets drafted as well in rounds 5 and 6. Not bad. But that now gives us a chance to look at the transfer portal. Let's see all these 1-stars, as a lot of them have deal breakers that we are not going to be able to fulfill. As we do have a chance at content over here. That's pretty nice, something I haven't had in a while. And it looks like we're pretty much locked out on everyone else, so we only have one guy that we can go after this offseason. So maybe we do have to look for as many guys as possible during the season. Now, I feel like this is going to be a waste now because, unfortunately, we have so many hours and we don't know what to do with it now. This guy's an 87 speed, though, so I think we definitely have to offer him a scholarship and be able to send the house on him too. So it looks like it is going to be a pretty quick offseason, especially if we can land these guys pretty early. As thankfully Slovis does end up committing, and so does Stevens, so we do have a kicker going forward. But now it's time to chase that content as we do try to sell the proximity to home. And again, he is going to be the last guy that we can end up selling here, so let's hope that he decides to come here after this next week. He does not, but we can definitely start to hard sell now because I think at this point, we know what all of his motivations are. Thankfully for us, they are actually pretty favorable. I mean, it looks like we have yellows and everything like that and all the ones that he's looking for, so let's hope that that's going to be the main selling point. The worst part is if we end up losing out on him, we end up losing out on him to FAU. But thankfully, that's not who we end up losing him to. He ends up coming to our school, and we finally got content for the next 4 years. And since I don't think that we necessarily need the recruiting skill tree, let's actually open up that tactician and maybe that'll help us in more games. But now we don't have to worry about recruiting for the rest of the season, so let's get through this, let's look at position changes, and let's see if we can actually improve some of these guys during the offseason. But even though we had 30 guys end up signing on our team, that is definitely not enough to get us out of the basement for rankings of top classes. We're at 134. Now that's going to be an extremely sad thing to see pretty much every season, but again, hopefully some of these guys can actually come in and, I don't know, improve pretty quickly. But the fact that our 3 quarterbacks ended up coming in at a 54, 51, and 50, oh man, this is going to be a struggle. Yeah, it's going to be really tough. It looks like a lot of the freshmen that came in are only going to be in the 50s. And you know what? We should have expected that since they are all 1-star. Is that a guy who's a 44 overall? Well, we better win a championship pretty soon because, dude, we're going to be really struggling here unless we can get really big jumps. And I honestly don't want to change any positions until, I don't know, we figure out this next season. This is not going to be good. But at least we get to see training results this time. And thankfully, these are going to be guys that we have had from last season. As we see, Broussard is going to be our top player along with Carter too. Both guys on offense. And Davis is going to be an 86 overall as a sophomore. That's going to be great going forward. Winfield is a 78. We're definitely going to lean on him. So hopefully we will actually have some pretty good players for the next couple of years before they end up graduating. Now, thankfully, our line looks pretty solid right now. Just question is, in a couple of years, is that still going to be the case? And it looks like our defense is going to be heavily reliant on some of the guys that we end up getting, especially our defensive line. So, gosh, man, this is going to be tough in a couple of years. And man, with all those 1-stars, we end up going down to a 75 overall. First time that I've actually been doing something like a rebuild like this where we end up going down from year to year. But because of the huge class that we just brought in, I can't believe we had 2 guys come in that were under 50. But we are going to unfortunately have to ask a couple guys to transfer, as it'd be nice if we can actually have Carlos Adams transfer, but we did just end up bringing him in. It's going to be tough to lose some of these guys because they're a lot better than anyone that we ended up bringing in. And getting into season 2, dude, I'm not even excited to see these prospects. Now, we do have this one receiver that we can go after, but for the most part, we're really just going to be going after the needs that we have. But if there are a couple guys that do end up actually being interested in our school, why not try to bring them in anyways? And again, we will start scouting some of these guys, but for the most part, I want to leave enough hours just to be able to give all of them a scholarship because, we know that none of these guys are going to be phenomenal, so it's just going to be quantity over quality at this point, and just try to weed out who's not going to be good enough. Eventually, we will end up finding another gem. I can almost promise you that. Hopefully there are no busts, especially in 1-stars, but if there are, I'm sure that we're definitely going to find one eventually. And we'll probably end up going with the same strategy that we had last season, especially because they're 1-stars. And did I see a 91 speed on that corner? Love to see that. But that's going to be really not necessarily putting a ton of hours on any of these guys until and there's our first bust. Damn it anyways, of course it's someone who wanted to come to our school. But what I was saying is we're not going to put a ton of hours on anyone unless, we end up moving down their board. But for the most part, I really feel like we're going to end up at number 1 on a lot of these boards unless they end up being scouted by other schools and getting scholarships. But let's advance here and let's see if maybe we can move up some boards. So again, we have 390 hours, which means, hey, if we DM every single one of these guys, I feel like we're going to move up their board pretty damn quickly. We'll just have to keep an eye out for guys that end up getting multiple scholarship offers from schools. We must be the laziest coach in the Sun Belt to just go out there and just DM players. You know what I mean? You really think that that's going to make them commit? Now, unfortunately, we did get locked out on one guy, but hey, there is a chance that he ends up opening it back up. Maybe not a great one because he has 3 scholarship offers, but you never know. So after this bye week, we'll get a chance to see if that ends up working. We'll see if we end up moving up some interest lists, and let's hope that maybe we can get someone pretty quickly. Okay, so maybe it's going to be a little more difficult than that because we see Tobin here didn't even put us in his top 10, so we're going to have to find a different way to be able to reach these guys. But we have plenty of season to go as we get into this first matchup against Rice. Let's see if we can end up picking up a victory. We're down to a 75 overall, so who the hell knows? Well, hey, we're 1-0. Don't know how many times I'm going to be able to say that during this rebuild, but that's really nice to see. Now, thankfully, with some of the extra hours, we were able to put some on these guys, and at the very least, we're number 2 on a lot of these lists. Now, Davis, I don't think is going to open it back up, but I'm going to keep him on here just in case. But after this bye week, if we do have any hours available, I think we're actually going to start to bring some guys in on visits because kind of want to start playing and see how good or bad this team actually is. And what did I tell you? Hugh Davis ended up opening it back up, and we can actually DM him. Search his social media. Maybe we can climb up from 4 to number 1. Now, obviously, we're not going to be able to bring anyone in on this rivalry game, unfortunately. But we do have a couple weeks before we end up having another home game against Texas State. So since we don't have the hours, then we're just going to kind of leave it as it is, and we'll schedule some in the coming weeks. But like I said, rivalry game against Louisiana Monroe. Can we pick up the victory? Yes, we do. That's what I'm talking about. 2-0 to start the season. Again, I don't know how often that's going to happen. And we do start 1-0 in the Sun Belt. And the crazy thing is Hugh Davis did move us up to number 2, but he's visiting Eastern Michigan this week, who's playing us. If we can beat them, we might be able to switch spots with them. Now, that's not enough to make me actually want to jump into this game, but it's enough to make me actually want to schedule them for a visit. Because again, if we can push them away from them, that would be pretty damn good. And even though I know this is going to be a variable, gonna go with the coach prestige and just hope that we keep winning games. So come on, let's pick up this victory. We do not want to lose Hugh to Michigan. He would be much happier in Louisiana. Unfortunately, it looks like he completely disagrees because we're probably going to be 2-1 on this next screen. We ended up winning and he still ended up committing to Eastern Michigan? Brother, what are you smoking? And that means that we get to say goodbye to Hugh Davis. Thank you very much for at least considering us. You know what I mean? There was a good shot there that we weren't even going to get a chance to recruit him, but hey, at least we had a little bit of a shot. But that does allow us to put one more guy in the sport, so let's go with this left guard, who actually has some kind of interest in us. I don't think I'm going to bother scouting him, again, because, you know. So let's do that. Let's contact friends and family, and let's spread these hours out just a little bit more. We'll try to bring some guys in on visits in the next week. That means that we might have to take some hours off these guys. But honestly, I think that's going to be okay, and I think it'll be worth it in the long run. So let's get through the bye week. Again, we have 2 weeks until we end up having our first potential visit, which means that maybe we're going to schedule 2 or 3 guys in this one. But thankfully, we don't have to with Aruwarie. I'm probably mispronouncing that left guard from Vegas. But we end up losing Galden to Louisiana Monroe. My guy, why? We don't want that to happen again, which means that TJ Soto here, we don't want to lose him to Monroe, so let's make sure that we bring him in on a visit in week 8, and let's make sure that we end up picking up the win. And he wouldn't be the only one either. Ben Tobin is actually being recruited by Monroe as well, so I think we're going to actually end up taking up some hours for some other guys and be able to put it on him to be able to bring him in for a visit very soon. So let's do that. Let's hope that we can end up beating them, and thankfully, since we do have an A- in proximity to home, that's going to be the biggest selling point. And yikes, man, this is going to be a really tough matchup against number 18 Missouri. They're 2-1, we're 3-0, but honestly, come on, man, they seem like they're going to be a much better team than us. No way. We ended up pulling off the victory, and it's not like it was an extremely close game. Yes, it was 1 possession, but my goodness, man, Winfield, 302, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Davis needs to pick it up on the ground, but hey, a couple touchdowns from Robertson, not bad. And now with 80 hours, we're going to be able to bring in 2 more guys for this next week against Texas State. Question is, who do we want? Surprisingly enough, there is no one on this list that has an offer from another school that we aren't already bringing in on a visit. So I think we're just going to have to figure out who we really want most. And honestly, Cesario has an 81 speed and 80 acceleration. In terms of 1-star prospects, I honestly think that's probably going to be the best that we're going to get. So let's end up doing that. Let's sell that proximity to home as well. And because I think it would be a really great compliment, I think that we're also going to bring in Whitehurst here. He's a right guard and be a compliment to Tobin, who I think that we really want to bring in. But here's the moment of truth. Can we stay undefeated against a Big Ten school in Northwestern? They're 3-2 this season, but we're 5-0. And we do get Mike Lober, as well as Agbania. And that's about it right now, but we haven't lost anyone yet. I'm sorry, we were 4-0, now we're 5-0. Still 1-0 in conference, too. And since we have the hours, as much as I'd love to scout some of these guys and see how good they actually are, I think it's actually going to be pretty important to schedule some of these visits. I mean, again, I don't think we're going to have a huge issue landing some of these guys, but at the same time, it would be extremely nice to guarantee that we're going to have some really good players for next season. Or at least decent ones that we can get. And then last but not least, I think we're going to bring Charbonnet in week 11 against Appalachian State again. We got a +2 with the complimentary visits there, so why not? Maybe that'll get everyone to commit. But finally, the first game we can jump into. Texas State has already played 7 games this season. We've only played 5. And this is only our second conference game. Oh boy, they're better than us on paper. How are we winning as a 75 overall? Yeah, and I truly do not know how, because with only a minute left in the first half, we're down 17-0? How is this possible? As we end up getting that one out somehow, and we unfortunately cannot get to it. Now, we're going to have to find a way to get some points here before the end of the half. Question is it actually going to be possible as we end up making the catch down to the 31? All right, now we got a shot for some points here. Hopefully. You've got to be kidding me. What route was that? Where are you going? God, this is getting really rough now. This is extremely unfortunate, as maybe we can playmaker him. We can't. He just stands there. And we don't even get the first down. But we're at that point in the game right now where we have to go for it on 4th down. And we're going to right here. And Carter can't hold on to it. And man, that is an embarrassing loss to Texas State, 31-7. How are we doing so well in Sim? I barely even played that game at all. So we pick up our first loss of the season. And we'll probably even lose a couple guys to some other schools. But we will still get a couple commits because we're really the only school that they can come to. But again, the good news is at least we got a couple guys to actually commit. So now we're going to have to schedule a couple other visits. And if we can get someone like this cornerback right here to come during Appalachian State, my goodness, man, we're going to have so many complimentary visits that it might not matter if we end up losing. But now we really only have 4 spots to be able to bring some guys in, so we need to think about what we want to prioritize. Because it'd be nice to be able to get a lot of guys to be able to get that complimentary visit boost. And that means that we might just have to focus on defense here. I don't think that that's the worst thing that we could do, because, again, our defense, especially as you saw in that last game, was not phenomenal. So if we can get some pretty good complimentary visits here, that would really be ideal. So let's leave these next couple games up to Sim, huh? We got Arkansas State on the road, another Sun Belt Conference matchup, and hopefully we can still continue to do well in Sim. As we end up getting a commit, Alani Edmond, right outside linebacker, Chad John, I love that name, right end. Beautiful. And we do end up picking up the loss, and now we're 1-2 in conference, but still, we got a couple commits. But again, considering the fact that these guys are just 1-star players, I don't know if I can really get extremely excited about these guys committing, especially based off the overalls that some of the guys had last season when they came in. And man, I feel like we're simming through a lot of this season, but again, we really haven't had many guys come and visit. We only had that 1 game so far, but we got a couple coming up. It doesn't really matter for Nick McGelly, who is a right guard who commits, as well as Oscar Street, a left outside linebacker. TJ Soto, one of the guys that we're looking at. Eric Camella, Zach Judge, oh my gosh. Joey Neighbors, I'm going to go get a drink if we just keep doing this. Troy Flood, Christian Banani, Finau Mawa'e from Honolulu, Nick Quintero, David Umogdu. Oh my gosh, and thankfully, oh my gosh, that's 11 guys right there. So we get just a ton of guys, as well as the Offensive Player of the Week with 189 and 3 touchdowns. Not national, but hey, we ended up picking up the win. So again, we do have 16 guys, and you know what? I'm going to scout the rest of them, and I'm also going to then put the remaining hours on just trying to land them quicker, you know what I mean? Being able to send DMs and all that kind of good stuff. But it'd be nice to actually see a gem on this list somewhere. And there he is, Oscar Vasquez. All right, we're definitely prioritizing him now. Anyone else who becomes a gem, I think we're going to do kind of the same thing, because that is a really great find, and hopefully, I don't know if they can be over like an impact player. It'd be great if we could find a star, but I think that that's going to be wishful thinking. But again, we won't be able to bring anyone else in on a visit, but the guys that are going to be here for this game against Appalachian State, hopefully we don't let them down here. I mean, I know we have a better record, but that overall leaves a lot to be desired. And this is kind of what I was expecting when I hopped into this game, is unfortunately we are down by 1 score. And unfortunately, we do not have the speed to be able to pick it up with our feet, but we do get up to a 4th and 1. And we're just damn crazy enough to go for it. Let's hit Broussard on his little zig. Let's go. Great catch, too. We got the first down. So if that's the case, let's try to run for it. Why not? Our guy's got some good speed. Can he get out ahead of him? Let's go, Davis. Up to a 2nd and 2. Some pretty good speed right there. I can appreciate that. I'm going to really miss him when he's gone. But there we go. There's someone that we're going to have for a couple more years. Broussard gets in for the touchdown. Now, this game literally cannot get closer. It is 16-15. We need to pick up a first down as we get Broussard on the drag, and we get up to the 15-yard line. Now, we do only need a field goal, but at the same time, we do not want to give them the ball back with too much time. As, oh my gosh, he was wide open, but we're just going to run for it. I literally did not want to throw an interception or, have it be an incompletion. I want the clock to continue to run as we cut it up a little bit. We got a 3rd and 6. So as long as we can get a first down, man, that would be extremely ideal. As we run, we find a little bit of a hole, but we can't even get close. Unfortunately, that does mean that we have to take the 3, and we need to rely on our defense. But at the very least, we do have 3 timeouts. As wait, there is a flag. Please tell me that's a roughing the kicker. Yes! And we get bailed out, and I think we're going to pick up this win over Appalachian State as long as we hold on to the ball. So again, would it be nice to be able to get into the end zone? Yes, but at the same time, we want to make sure that they don't get the ball back. Or at the very least, they waste all their timeouts just so we can make sure that they don't get in the end zone. But, well, they have 2 left, but hey, at least we're going to be able to have at least a 6-point lead. And thankfully, we do end up picking it up in the end. I thought that I actually hit play so we could actually do the 2-point conversion, but instead, it just kind of put us at the end of the game. But we'll take it. Big game right there as Winfield ends up picking up 156 and a touchdown. That's a pathetic player of the game. And that is definitely no offense to him, just pathetic from our standpoint. Glad we pick up the victory, though, and hopefully that'll get us a couple commits right here. As there we go, Arnold Cole. We got ourselves a punter. Oscar Vasquez, strong safety. Logan Mangum. DeMarcus Heflin, right outside linebacker. Mateo Crum. Jacques Carbonet, and that's going to be it. But, hey, that is a good 6 players right there, and we are really filling out this class. And surprisingly enough, we only have 10 guys left, so let's make sure we land this entire class. And while we don't find any gems, I think we have enough hours just to be able to contact everyone's friends and family, and hopefully that's going to be enough for some of these guys to kind of be pushed over the edge. Now, the funny thing is, because of all the commits, we don't have anyone coming in that really we need to make sure that we land. I mean, Pianalto is going to be the only one who's going to be visiting until the end of the year, and that is going to be week 11. My bad, week 11 is what we just played. So now we really don't have anyone visiting for the rest of the season, so I think we can sim through it. Plus, at this point, we have a lot of guys on this roster that aren't ones that we recruited, so even if we do well this year, can we really credit us for that? As we end up getting Whitehurst, a right guard. We do get Ben Tobin, that halfback that I think is going to be great for us. Milliner, a right end. Regis, another halfback. Pianalto ends up coming. That is really great. Hicks. Is this everyone that we ended up going after? Sterling. And unfortunately, we do go down in that one. We're 3-3 in conference, 7-3 overall. At least we're going to get a bowl game, but that's really about it this season. Now, thankfully, we did pretty much sign every single person that we wanted to. We only have a couple of guys left. It looks like it's just these 3. So let's just go for the hard sell on everyone. Why not? We have the hours to do it, so let's make sure that that is going to be the main focus here. And unfortunately, we do have 300 hours left over. Now, we could end up looking for 2 more guys, but do we really think it's going to be worth it? Well, why not? Let's end up taking this fullback and this right end. Let's fully scout them, offer them a scholarship, and put as many hours as possible on them, because I would doubt that any of these guys are going to be busts. So that means that we might actually have a full class of 35 here. Now, should I be waiting until the transfer portal just to see maybe we find someone again? Probably, but I don't care too much. Let's see if we can pick up our 8th win here, as we do get Heath Cherry to end up committing, as well as LaMichael Lenovoy. That's interesting, and that means that we only have, I think, 2 or 3 guys left on our board now. But unfortunately, we pick up a loss, and now we're 3-4 in conference. That's pretty damn bad. And now this might be a quick offseason because, hey, we got these 3 guys first on our board. I don't think we're going to have any room to sign anyone else. But that does mean we get to sim through South Alabama, 2-9. Let's make sure that we give them double-digit losses this season. And even though no one's at risk of transferring because of it, that championship contender D is embarrassing. We ended up losing. So even though we are going to get a bowl game, man, it is not going to be extremely exciting. We do have 2 more guys left on our board. Hopefully we can sign them before we get into the bowl game. That way we don't have to have that go into the offseason. And look at that. Despite the fact that we've had a mediocre couple seasons, we do get an extension. 5 more years. And thankfully, we get the fullback to commit, as well as Cardell Draft, which means we pretty much can just skip the offseason. And we are now in the Myrtle Beach Bowl against Central Michigan. Nice. Oh, we played Eastern Michigan. Let's see if maybe we can just take down the entire state. And now, because it is early National Signing Day, do we have anyone that is not a normal dev? Torres comes in as an impact. That is incredible, actually, not gonna lie. We also get Zach Judge, the defensive tackle, as an impact, which is great, as well as Oscar Vasquez. We should have known because he was a gem, but unfortunately, no stars. Although I shouldn't expect that from 1 stars, right? And I don't think this is gonna be a fun game. We're 69 overall right now because of the guys that don't want to play, who are probably gonna end up just leaving the school. But hey, as long as we don't end up losing by like 35, that's going to be a win in my book. But now in the third quarter, we do have a chance of actually going up by that full possession as we hit him, and Martin can't get in. Don't tell me this is going to be a huge problem going forward. Let's just pound this one right in. We get a major hole, and Washington goes in for a 2-possession lead. And I don't even know what's going on with our defense here, man. They are just being lights out, shutting out Central Michigan with only a minute and a half to go. Oh, come on. We give up the touchdown, though. Go figure. But they need to recover this onside and get into the end zone and get a 2-point conversion. I feel like we can just end this right here. Martin, go down. We have a chance to shut it out, but they're pressing our receivers. Broussard's got way too much speed. Are you kidding me? Where are you going with that? Broussard gets in the end zone, and he's got himself a little bit of a highlight reel. And there we go. Finally, for the first time in this rebuild, granted it's only been 2 seasons, we end up picking up a bowl win. This is not going to be extremely common, so it's nice to get it here in Season 2. And there it is, the Myrtle Beach Bowl winner. Let's go. Again, not that that's necessarily going to help us for recruiting, but typically speaking, it would. And I'm honestly really surprised that we ended up winning that one. Very happy about that. Now, I would just kind of advance to the next season, but again, I want to see position changes, I want to see training results, and I just want to make sure that we don't accidentally skip anything. And look at that, we got Georgia versus Penn State in the national championship game. Who is going to prevail here? And the answer to that is Penn State in convincing fashion. 41-17. So we already have 35 players, so again, we're not even looking at the transfer portal, but we do see a handful of guys that are going to want to transfer. The good news is we do not have our halfback or Broussard up here, but a couple of guys that I think could be pretty good, especially down the line. We do have 8 persuasion chances, and we do end up getting our first one. That's great. That's an 80 overall. We get a 79 overall cornerback. Can we keep our defense intact? We cannot. Cloud is going to be gone. Moses is going to be gone. McConnell is going to stay, thankfully, and Demiri is going to be gone. So we end up losing half our guys, but we have a lot of other guys that are leaving to graduation too. And with a lot of the guys that we ended up bringing in this season, I feel like we're going to have to ask a couple to end up transferring. But again, since we're not looking at any kind of recruiting here or anything, let's look at the draft results just to see that we did not put anyone in to the NFL. However, again, I think we have a couple guys that are going to be really great, especially like Broussard, who might actually go in a higher round. But before that, let's look at National Signing Day. Again, it's not like we had anyone else, so we don't necessarily have to look at the dev traits, but we did get all 35 guys, and now we can look at position changes too. But I really don't think that there's anyone on this roster that I feel like we can move around too much. I mean, a lot of the freshmen are just going to kind of stay around their like mid-50s. I just realized in like a year or two, especially with these freshmen who are just going to be our free safeties and stuff, man, our overall is going to go down to like 60-something. So that means this is going to be a bigger challenge than I was expecting, and man, I do not feel comfortable about it. But here we go. Training results. Do we see any big jump ups? And you've got to be kidding me. That is actually incredible and a great sign. Lousiana, who is a red shirt now because we recruited him 2 years ago, went from mid-50s up to 67. We actually have a sophomore in Bullen who's up at a 70 now. Broussard is going to be great this year as well. He's got that 90 overall with the 91 speed. We do see like Boykin's up to a 70. Officer is up to a 75. Again, he was not great right off the bat. But man, these guys are improving extremely quickly. And if you look at the entire team, we're at 74 overall. I don't know how this is even possible. But brother, I am not upset. That is great to see. I thought that we were just going to be 60-something overall for the rest of this rebuild. But we go into Season 3 with a 74 overall, and actually some pretty decent guys at some pretty good positions for us. But we need to cut 20 guys. So I think that means we're going to have to look at specific positions where we see Sterner as a kicker. Ain't going to see the field, unfortunately, for him. We have a couple other guys here, like Biggs is a 58 overall. I don't know if we even want to keep him. So I'm going to encourage him to transfer. Sorry to get your hopes up, buddy. And unfortunately now at this point, I think we're just going to have to go with like some of the lowest overalls that we can get rid of. Just get rid of them. And then I know this is going to leave us with only one kicker, but we're getting rid of Stevens. I know we just brought him in, but just means that we're going to have to bring someone else in later on. As we get into season 3, there are going to be some names that we end up recruiting that we're going to see hit the field. Now, of course, like Lousiana here isn't going to see the field. He is the 3rd string quarterback, but still, some of these other guys, especially like the fullback, potentially even at center, we're going to see some of the guys that, again, we ended up recruiting. It's going to be nice to see them on the field. Now, of course, there are a lot of seniors on this team that are going to end up starting, but still, we're going to have those other guys to be able to back them up, and they're going to end up taking the field for sure next season. But as always, let's set up the recruiting board. Now, I think I'm going to go with a different strategy here this time. What I'm going to end up doing, of course, is going to see what we need, and also be able to find the guys that are really interested in coming to the school. But also, I am going to end up scouting a lot of these guys, and if they just don't look good, we're going to toss them off the board. We know it's not going to take a lot of hours to be able to land them. We want to make sure that we get quality now instead of quantity. I know not really great quality with 1 stars, but still, you know what I mean. Plus, look at how many guys that we ended up having to cut in the offseason. We had to get rid of 20 guys, and 20 guys I didn't necessarily want to get rid of, so again, we need to be more choosy with some of the guys that we end up picking. Now, his free safety does only have 80 speed and like 58 play recognition, but still, honestly, could be pretty decent, and he has the naturals and mental. And like a left tackle here with Jake Nix, I mean, not too bad. 65 pass block finesse, 68 run block finesse. It's actually not too bad. 77 strength, could be pretty decent. But a wide receiver with 80 speed, no, I think we're going to take him off the list. And we found our first gem of the bunch, Emmanuel Bacon. Not too bad for a right tackle, too. Honestly, that 84 strength is going to be great. Now, I know this guy only has 81 speed as well, but as a physical receiver with 77 spec catch, I actually think that he could be pretty decent. And hey, as we offer him a scholarship, Donnie Turner ends up committing. We got our first insta-commit. Now, if we can get a couple more, that would actually be pretty awesome, although I don't think that we're going to get that lucky, especially not with the gem. But for these guys that we did already offer scholarships, let's do the same thing. Let's DM. We are number 1 on their boards for the most part. Billy and Bacon, of course, we're number 2, so maybe we can actually throw an extra 5 on them. Ooh, now college, on the other hand, does have us at number 10. I'm actually thinking about going with the friends and family. I know it's 25, but hey, you know what? It might actually be worth it. So at least we'll get a couple more hours next week because, again, we were doing a lot of scouting and scholarship giving, so we'll get some of those hours back. Fortunately, we won't get anyone, and again, Forrest is reached his top 5, so I think at this point we can probably take him off our board. Now, I know this process is a little bit slower, but honestly, I really want to see if we can make this work. I just don't want to get locked out on some guys. And thankfully, our first game is going to be against FCS East. I don't think that we played these guys yet, but hopefully we can pick up a win. I mean, we should be able to. Now, we do pick up the win, and look at that. That championship contender goes up to a D+, man. You gotta love it. Now, typically this early in the season, I don't know if I would necessarily go with the hard sells and stuff like this, but I only say that because, again, the 1 stars and everything. But at the same time, Bacon is a gem. We need to make sure that we land him, and honestly, we can actually bring him in week 3 against UAB. And proximity to home is always going to be an A. But with some of the hours that we have left, we found Dylan Shelley here. JUCO Junior, I know, but still 76 speed, which is decent for a tight end, and pretty good acceleration. But that is going to bring us into a matchup against Hawaii at Hawaii. It's going to be a nice little vacation, and it's a team that we're pretty familiar with because of the San Diego State Dynasty as well. And based on that little bit of XP, I'm guessing we ended up winning, and our championship contender goes up to C-. I know, when I say it out loud, it doesn't really sound that impressive, but still, nice to be able to have that, and ooh, looks like we are still in the lead here for Peely here, but at the same time, we need to make sure that he comes in pretty soon as well, just because, hey, he's got another team that's going after him. We just want to make sure that they don't steal him because I think he could be pretty good. And the same is actually going to kind of go here for Traore here as well too because again, he is a gem. I completely forgot about that. So I'm actually going to go for the hard sell, as ridiculous as that sounds. And we're going to try to make sure that he ends up committing to our school. And we also get the complimentary visit with Peely. I think that that's going to be a really great week for us. But that will bring us into our first game of the season. This is probably the earliest one that we've had so far. Now, it is going to be against UAB, but I am effing exhausted right now. And I don't think that we're going to win this one. They are much better than us on paper. They are 2-0 this season, so I think it's going to be a rough time. So I'm going to go get some sleep, and then we'll play this one tomorrow. So this actually isn't the next morning. This is like 5 days later, so I'm going to have to relearn everyone on this team and what they're really good at. Because I've actually played the San Diego State and the North Carolina ones. Oh, that was a bad read. But at least we ended up catching him for 3 yards. But I've played both of those since, so I'm trying to remember exactly who all these guys are. But it's okay, because we're going to end up getting that drag right there, and Carter's going to get a big gain. I don't know why we tried to spin up there, but at least we got closer to midfield. And now I see why we're actually 2-0 right now, as we're going to get a really deep touchdown. He's got the speed on him. Okay, maybe not a touchdown, but down to the 10. But we should be able to get this one into the end zone as we end up going for the screen. And we end up getting that big spin move, and he gets pushed into the end zone for the first score of the game. They would end up responding, but we do have a chance now to be able to get some points before the end of half. And maybe we can hit our star receiver down there. Does he have the speed? No, that gets swatted away. So let's give him one more shot to get downfield. I don't think we're going to end up hitting him here. He's got the inside lane, but he grabs it and we get down to the 20. I did not think that he was going to catch that, but he did, and look at that. As we end up getting the tight end, but we overthrow him. That was a for sure touchdown if we could have hit him, but unfortunately, that's not what happened, and thankfully, he holds on to that despite the fact that he gets hit right away. So 3rd and 2, we are really close to ending. Oh no, we're gonna get sacked. I was hoping to be able to scramble there a little bit, and we just weren't able to. So now we're gonna have to take our 3 and make sure that we go up before half. They would end up responding, but now we have a shot to be able to get into the end zone here with only 3.5 minutes left in the game, as we end up scrambling out to the right. I think we can just take this on our feet. Let's go, Winfield, get into the end zone. We got a 3-point lead again. And now we just need to pull off a really big stop here. Again, we got 2-0 teams going against each other right here. One of us is going to end up taking our first loss of the season. Let's just make sure that it's not us, as they end up getting a really big gain there to the 44. We need to get more pressure if we think we're going to stop them. They end up, going for the play action. Oh, we couldn't get the interception, but there's going to be a flag. But it's going to be an illegal man downfield, and we're going to accept that. Just wish we could have picked that off. But we have a chance to do so again right here. Gosh, we're going to have to really try to get some better guys in the secondary. But again, with 1-star recruits, how are we necessarily going to do that as we get them down for only a gain of 3? But again, we saw a lot of guys really improve in the offseason, so maybe if we can get some guys with like impact development, maybe we can actually get them to grow quicker. And we got a really important down right here, 3rd and 3. Let's get them to the 4th, and let's make sure that we can get them off the field, and we do not, and they're going to be in field goal range now. But it looks like they're going to try to get one more play off before the 2-minute warning, which I'm okay with. If they want to score and give us some more time, I am okay with that. As we get into the backfield and we take him down. Looks like that ball came out after he hit the ground. That's okay though. We're rushing 4 here. Let's send everyone back in coverage. And let's hope that we can get a big stop there, as thankfully he only gains 3 and it's 3rd and long. And it looks like they're going with an empty back set. Obviously you're going to have to pass on this one. And he gets torched. Adams, no. But again, that does give us some pretty good time here to be able to get downfield and get a score of our own. Or at the very least, oh no, we're going to need more than a field goal. The good news is we do have all our timeouts, but still, we really don't necessarily want to use them right now, as he ended up getting that out a little bit late, but we still get the completion. But right now, all we need is a 1st down. We just need to make sure that the drive continues. As he ends up getting that, Robertson gets a big spin move, but can't get around the last guy, but we're up at midfield now. That was a bit of a risky throw, but hey, we still ended up completing it anyways, which is great to see. Oh, we're going to get sacked now. Let's call our first time out. Maybe not the smartest thing, but it's okay. 2nd and 19. Oh, let's hit him on the out here. He beat his guy, but he gets swatted away. But realistically, we're going for it on 4th down. We just need to get closer to the 1st down marker, and that's going to be intercepted. And that, unfortunately, is going to be our first loss of the season then. And that was a really bad throw by us. I said we didn't need a 1st down, but I still went for it anyways. That was stupid because I should have been more patient and let the middle develop, but that's okay. That's our first loss of the season. Now we're 2-1. And that's a little upsetting because I don't think that we're going to get that 1-star gem now, but who knows? He might still end up committing on this next screen, but still, probably more than likely not. Well, that's not him, but still, it's nice to see There he is. We ended up getting 2 commits, including the one that we want, which is, again, that 1-star gem right there. And it's going to be nice to be able to have another gem on the offensive line. And with those 2 guys committed, that actually frees up 190 hours, which means that these guys that we weren't necessarily putting any hours on or anything like that, we can start doing so. We can end up giving him a scholarship, and hopefully, if we end up DMing him, we'll actually climb up his board a little bit. Now, a gem left tackle might be one that we want to bring in, so let's make sure that we end up offering him that scholarship. And with those 20 hours, let's make sure that we DM him and also search his social media just so we can climb up his board a little bit more. But now we got a rivalry game against 2-0 Louisiana Tech. Let's see if we can pull this one out because, again, especially after that loss last week, we need a bounce-back week. Not only do we get the win, but we also get Offensive Player of the Week with Dwayne Winfield, 283 and 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately, though, we do have a couple guys that committed to other schools. Unfortunately, Peely's gone, but we still have a lot of guys on the board. We have 23, but that's also including these 3 that we have here. But let's finish scouting some of these guys, and then let's also look and see who we can actually bring in for a visit too. But we do have 40 hours to be able to bring one person in on a visit, and for the most part, with the exception of course, the one guy that we just started recruiting, we're number 1 on everyone's list, and no one else has really offered a scholarship, with the exception of course, Sam Beavers here, left guard. Now, again, looking at his stats and everything, so I think we're really going to focus on him and bringing him in for a visit against probably South Alabama. It's the same tier opponent, but I think it's one that we could actually probably pull out a win. So let's do that, and let's make sure that we end up landing him before he goes to another school. Now, we originally scheduled someone to come visit for this week, but he already ended up committing. So let's end up simulating through this one, and let's hope that we can pull off the first victory in the Sun Belt Conference. And look at that, 1-0 in the Sun Belt, and also 4-1 overall in the season. And needless to say, Sending the House really worked on this one. We're at number 1 on Anthrop's board. So I think we can take off Send the House, and let's just contact friends and family. I know it's still 25 hours, but I think it's going to be worth it. But if we want to land these last 3 guys here, I think we're going to have to spend a little more time with them. So as much as I hate to do it, let's contact friends and family, and then we'll be able to use those hours to be able to schedule a couple guys for visits. But thankfully, it is a bye week, so we can just advance past it. And hopefully that rest is going to do well for our team because, again, we're taking on Old Dominion, which could potentially be a trap game. They only have 1 win this season so far, so make sure that they end up going out there and handling business. We don't have anyone visiting this week. That's going to be next week. And let's see if we can use the 120 hours to schedule a couple other guys. And one of those is going to be the 1-star gem. May as well. Let's schedule him for a visit. Obviously, he's not going to be able to come next week. That would be great, though. He's going to end up coming for Arkansas State. So let's see if Sim is going to be nice to us because, again, this could have been a game that we ended up playing if we scheduled someone for this week, but instead we kind of put it off a little too long. And we did end up getting a commit with Clayton Morton, and that's the only one, but I'm hoping that means we won. And we did. We are 5-1 now. Incredible. So now we're only going to be able to bring one more person in. I think that's going to be Sergio Semple here. Why not? He's going to be the last guy that's going to end up coming that week, and unfortunately, I think that's going to be the last of the visits that we can bring in this year. The good news, though, is that we are pretty much first on everyone's board, and there's only one that we have competition with, and that's Sam Beavers, who's going to end up coming this week. So, hopefully we can end up impressing him here, and we can get him to commit, but we really don't want to lose to Louisiana Monroe. But everyone else doesn't have another scholarship offer. It's only us. But it'd be extremely nice to win this game. South Alabama, we win this one, we end up staying undefeated in conference play. And again, South Alabama is 5-1 as well. Let's go out there and let's handle business. And I was going to say that 81 overall was a little frightening, but at least we're kind of holding our own here. We're only down by 3, and we're down here in the red zone, and we're going to end up hitting the tight end, hold on to it, and gets all the way up to the 3. But we're just going to try to pound it in right here. We may as well feel like that's going to be more reliable than passing. Let's get that one more shot. I do not want to throw an interception down here as we walk right in and we get the lead. And thankfully, we still have the lead with 5 minutes to go, but we only have a 1-point lead. That is not what we want to see, but he goes with a great route out there. Davis, he fumbles, but at least it's out of bounds and we got the first down. Thankfully, we would end up scoring, and we're up by 8 now with 2.5 to go. We just need to not do anything stupid. As we just go with the handoff, you got to hold on to it. We pick up 3. And I was going to run the ball here just to kind of keep the clock rolling, but they're pressing our receivers, and they don't have anyone deep. So let's go for it as he just gets wide open. And yeah, no, Robertson is gone. Hopefully he doesn't have a lot of speed, but gets in the end zone Why do you press this late in the game like that? What are you doing? And now here's our shot to get them off the field and finish this game off, as he has all the time in the world, and unfortunately they do pick up the first down, but we're still up by 2 possessions. Well, they would end up scoring, but 3 seconds and an onside kick. I think we can recover this one. What the fuck? I literally cannot believe that at all. That is insane to me. So they got to go with the Hail Mary here. Oh my gosh, they're going to make it to the end zone. And we just swat it down. That should not have been that close. But we still end up picking up the victory 28-20. I don't even have words for that. But at least we picked up the win. I mean, realistically, it was a good offensive game. It was just that one onside kick. And of course, it was the last thing to happen. So, of course, it's right there in the head. But let's go. Kenya College ends up committing. Of course, Sam Beavers, we got him away from Louisiana Monroe. Tremaine Burt, the quarterback. And so we got 3 more recruits to add. And since we can't bring anyone in on a visit, and we're number 1 on everyone's board with no other offers to speak of, honestly, all we really have to do, just maybe scout a couple other guys and see if we find any gems. But time to simulate through our rivalry game against Louisiana Monroe. I'm sure they want a little bit of revenge for taking that recruit away, but again, 1-star recruit, are they really going to be that mad? Apparently Oscar Whipple wasn't, because he definitely committed right away. Frederick Smith ended up committing. Terrell Ogle commits. Jake Nix commits. And that is going to be it, but we didn't lose anyone else. But the one thing we did lose was that game, despite the fact that we did have Offensive Player of the Week with Dale Martin. 128 and 2 touchdowns. What was the score? And wow, that was not incredibly close. Man, they turned it on at the end of the first half. But man, Winfield, 3 interceptions. My goodness, man, what is going on? But again, at least a really good game for Martin. And out of all the new guys that we put on our board, these are the only 3 that really intrigued me. And we got a tight end who's a vertical threat. We got a free safety that's actually 83 speed and decent zone coverage. And also got this halfback that's 85 speed. So we still have a fair amount of guys on our board, but again, there are a number of guys that we really want to land, like Mike Anthrop here. Again, that 1-star gem. So let's hope that we can end up picking up this win against Southern Miss. Another conference battle here. Hopefully we can win this one. And no matter what happened, Ron Aviles ends up committing a left tackle, but unfortunately that is it. And Jake St. Andre, 7 total tackles, 2 TFLs, and an interception. Gets him Defensive Player of the Week honors. But we did end up losing. We're 3-2 in conference now, but at least we're still bowl eligible, I guess. So now, since we have so many hours, we're really just going to go hard for some of the guys that, not that we don't stand a chance with, but ones that we really want to climb up into their top spot. And then guys like Anthrop here, again, we just want to make sure that we can hard sell. And even if these grades aren't great, they're still not horrible, with the exception of the prestige. So since we have all the hours spread around pretty well, let's just make sure that we don't end up losing this game against Texas State. It is on the road, but they are 3-6. And there we go. Anthrop ends up committing. Thankfully, Kevin Chavez does as well, so our offensive line is going to be great. Chad Fasano, wide receiver, ends up committing too. And thankfully, we did end up winning, and we're still 7-3 with a chance to go 8-3 against Arkansas State this week. Going to be tough because they are 8-2, and we do have a couple guys visiting as well, so we want to make sure that we end up landing them. But that is going to require us to play our best, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but that has not been very good today. I can't believe we only have a 71 defense, but going up against an 82 overall is going to be tough, but we've done it before. So with a minute left, we got to find a way to get some kind of points, and it looks like we are in field goal range. So let's see if we can... What are we trying to hit there? I was going to say, let's see if we can just keep the ball and just get that field goal, but if we can get more and get a first down, that'd be better, but that's not going to happen. And even though I really do want to go for it right here, I think we're just going to take the 3. We just need to make sure that we can hit it. Ooh, that was a close one, but thankfully right down the middle. Thankfully, with 5 minutes to go, we are up by 4 and down in the red zone, so let's make sure that we don't turn the ball over and we find a way to get some more points here. So 2nd and 3, let's go for the RPO and see if we can get it out there in the flat. And we do, but he doesn't get any yards. All we need is 3 yards to be able to pick up this first. Oh no, and we're going to end up... No, we break the sack. Oh no. He was open before I ended up throwing it to him. Oh my goodness, that's going to be a pick 6, and now we're going to have to come back. But that's not impossible. 2nd and 6, down by 3. Come on, let's scramble out. Winfield's got some speed, but can't get around that guy. 3rd and long. But it's not impossible to be able to pick up yards here and get this catch. Can he hold on to it? He does. Let's go. That's why you trust Broussard. Or maybe that was Robertson. Either way, let's run to the outside here. Can we get around him? We do. Davis has got some good speed. And he's all the way down to the 3-yard line. So out of the 2-minute warning, I really don't want to get into the end zone yet. I don't trust our defense. So let's see if maybe we can get stopped right here. There we go, but hold on to the ball. Thankfully for us, they're not stopping the clock, so we're winding this clock down. So we got a minute 20 left. Let's get over there. We could get in, but let's stay out just a little bit more. Did I say a little bit more? I meant a little bit longer, but let's go. 40 seconds left. Let's hit the drag route. And he can't hold on to it. God, we should have taken the points when we had it. Let's just tie it up. Let's go into overtime, hopefully. And unfortunately, they do end up scoring first in overtime, so we need to match that right now as we end up getting sacked. That is a huge play right there. And now we're going to have to find a way to get some points. As there we go. He's wide open. Carter gets the first down. Now, thankfully, it's not Davis going on the drag this time because he dropped that last time. We can definitely trust Robertson, and he gets up another 9 yards. So let's pound this ball in and actually get in the end zone this time as we just run forward and we get the first down at least. I think that's going to be enough to be able to get into the end zone. We just rush right up the middle, and he gets to us. Shit. One more time, damn it. Come on. Get in the end zone. You've got to be kidding me. Well, I mean, no matter what happens, we're going for it on 4th down. You know what I mean? So let's just run this up the middle, and we get in the end zone, thankfully. That should not have taken that long. But it did. But let's go. Now we got it in overtime. Let's find a way to get some points. Great pass to Robertson. He picks up 3. So we're working it slowly, but we're getting it there, and we get it out to the halfback who didn't even look back at it. Davis. That is crazy right there. But now we got a 3rd and 7. Let's pick up the first. Get over there, and he can't hold on to it. And I hate to say it, I don't think that field goal is going to be enough. So let's go for it on 4th down. Seems really stupid. I don't disagree with you, but Broussard can't hang on to it, brother. And look, the only way that we can get out of this is if we end up getting an interception. And I don't think that's going to happen right there. But maybe we can get a fumble? Who knows? We got to try anything that we can. And unfortunately, nothing works. And we end up losing to Arkansas State. That's a rough game. I guess that's my fault for going for it. But again, they would have scored right there anyways, so we would have had to score too. Still not a bad game, especially against a team that was 8-2. So unfortunately, we dropped to 7-4, and good luck getting some commits on this next screen. But I forgot that all these guys are 1-stars. Toviesi, wide receiver. Heveseu, halfback. Oh no, that's going to be bad. McConnell, wide receiver. Shelley, tight end. Not bad. Winthrop, free safety. 5 of you guys wanted to actually come to the school after that loss. I'm surprised. But that means we get to sit through Marshall here. Last game of the season. Can we please end 8-4 again? Either way, Sergio Semple ends up committing Javier Teamer, and that's unfortunately it. So all we have is just 4 recruits left on our board, and honestly, since we do have the hours, I think we're just going to end up hard selling each of them. May as well. I think that might actually do the trick. But we'll see after this game if that really does the trick. We'll definitely see. So let's end up simming through the bye week. It's not a game. My bad for that. And Cole Bloom ends up committing, as well as Mike Priest, Joey Lampkin, and unfortunately, no one else. Shepard is going to take another week. And sorry, but as you can see, we ended up beating Marshall. We are 8-4 right now. And honestly, we're going to have to look at this staff because, I don't know, our defensive coordinator might have to change. I mean, he is an elite recruiter, which would actually be pretty nice. But honestly, we don't necessarily need that for 1-stars. Look, I know that may seem a little hasty because we just went 8-4. But honestly, getting a different coordinator in there, that might be able to help for motivating, or even for architect, I think might be pretty good. And Sean Shepard, tight end, ends up committing, and that is everyone that was on our board. And it looks like we're in Scooter's Coffee Frisco Bowl. Let's go against Temple, the Owls. I know a lot of people are looking at him, but Carl Bosch, I think we can offer him a job here. Might not end up coming here, but still, we might actually have to change our defensive scheme too. But we'll figure that out. But before we end up getting into the bowl game, it is early National Signing Day. Let's see if we get any dev traits on any of these guys. Bloom, of course, is a normal, but do we see anyone? We do see an impact. That is going to be McConnell at wide receiver. Wasn't even a gem, ends up picking up impact. Same thing with Anthrop as an impact as well. Same with Turner at free safety, which will be great. Traore as well as Bacon. Of course, that one gem are both impacts, and that's about it. But it's really nice to see other dev traits that aren't just normal. So let's just go out there and have some fun. Our defense is down to a 69. That's not good, and we're a 70 overall, but hey, we can still take down Temple. And boy, is this a riveting game. Almost at half, it is 7-7. Incredible. Can he get by his defender? Yes, he can, and he hangs on to it down to the 21. Oh, man, Broussard's so good, man. I love that guy. Let's go. Let's end up scrambling out. We got some legs with Winfield, and I think we're going to... I was going to try to slide, but we end up just picking up the first down. Thankfully, he knows how to hang on to the ball. All right, looks like they're playing man right now. Ooh, they're blitzing, though. And we hang on to that down to 2nd and 4. Sorry, I had a hard time thinking about what I wanted to say, but let's get into the end zone right here on the drag route. That gets swatted away. That's all right. You know who's getting open here? It's going to be Broussard as he ends up going... Oh, no. He is not on that zig route. And he starts running downfield. What are we doing? And look, if it wasn't 4th and 8, I would go for it. But instead, let's kick the field goal. Let's get the 3, and let's just go into halftime with a lead. And we end up winning our first bowl game in this rebuild. 24-7 against Temple. Absolutely take down the Owls. And there we go. What was it, the Fresco Bowl? Frisco Bowl? Well, whatever we are, we're the champions now. Yeah, it's the Frisco Bowl. Nice. We ended up winning that. Let's go. And honestly, man... Even though we were like a 70 overall, team actually played extremely well. I am not going to be upset about that. Winfield ended up coming in as a junior, ended up throwing 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, but 15 interceptions. He's going to have to clean that up next season, or hopefully we can actually get one of the freshman redshirt or something like that to be a little bit better. Now, Davis ended up breaking the 1,000-yard mark, 10 touchdowns. That's really great to see. Winfield even got off on a couple of his own, 446 and 4 touchdowns. Robertson was kind of close to 1,000, but 11 touchdowns himself. Broussard, who was the best receiver on our team, only 627 and 4 touchdowns. And honestly, our defense, despite the fact that they were not rated highly, got some pretty good pressure, got in the backfield quite a bit. McLeod and Williams both 6 and 6.5 sacks. But we do need to improve the interceptions. Only 6 this season. We can do better than that. And Carl Bosch ends up choosing us, so now we got our new defensive coordinator. But that does mean that we're going to be changing our defense to a 4-2-5. And boy, does that look like an interesting national championship. Alabama loses to Georgia 24-17. But time to see who wants to transfer out and who's just going to be leaving in general. And looks like we only have 3 guys who want to transfer, but that is also our starting quarterback. It's got a medium persuasion chance, so maybe we can actually convince him, but it'd be nice to keep this center. Thankfully, we do. McConnell, are you going to stay? That's rough. We're going to have a new right outside linebacker and our quarterback. We're going to have to find a new quarterback this season. And other than that, though, we are going to be losing a couple other guys, but maybe a couple to the draft. And they did. Broussard ended up going in the 2nd round and Carter in the 6th. But we do have 750 hours to be able to get a couple guys here. And unfortunately, we are locked out on a lot, but I do see a couple, only 3 that we can go after, unfortunately. But they are needs for us. Maybe we can end up landing them. These guys are actually pretty damn good. We're going to offer them scholarships. Montagulu is actually pretty good, that 87 strength. You got Mama over here, who is in 90 agility, 83 speed, and 90 acceleration. And Agramonte, who's an 83 strength, 63 speed power rusher. Might actually be pretty good up the middle. But these are really the 3 guys that we're going to go after. So since we have the hours, let's end up sending the house. And as soon as we can schedule a visit and bring them in and know what their motivations are, we're going to end up doing that. And thankfully, we already climb up to number 1, which is great. And that means we shouldn't have a hard time getting some of these guys. Now, they're only in their top 8, so we can't schedule a visit, but it's nice to know that we already know some of their motivations, including Montagulu, who wants that playing time, which is an A+. So I'm really hoping these guys climb up to their top 5 right now, just so we can actually be able to bring them in, and thankfully we do. So we're going to end up hard selling all these guys and bring them in for a visit this next week. So let's bring them in. Let's see if we can get some of them to commit. And even though we don't get them to commit, we are number 1 on their boards, but we are actually at risk of losing Montagulu. And we're actually kind of getting close to losing Mama and Agramonte as well. But I think this is going to be the moment of truth. Let's see. Do they end up committing here? Or they go elsewhere? Montagulu is coming here. Same with Mama and Agramonte as well. That's awesome. So let's check the final 3 dev traits as we see that Agramonte is just a normal development. Mama is an impact. And Montagulu is normal, but seeing Mama as an impact wide receiver is going to be great. So we aren't going to change much, but McLeod actually becomes an 84 right outside linebacker, so I think we're going to change him to that as a speed rusher. But like I said, we're really not going to move anyone else, but as you guys can see, yeah, we're going to have to start relying on those 1-stars soon, and that does not look really good, especially here in the wide receiver room. But everyone's really just in the low to mid 50s, so I'm really hoping that especially getting another motivator in will allow us to really kind of grow these overalls over time, even if these guys are only 1-star impacts. But again, as always, here's the moment of truth in the offseason. Aside from, of course, this leveling up, what are going to be the training results? So let's get in. Please tell me we see some big jumps. As Beal ends up going to an 80 overall, Lousiana ends up going up to a 71. I mean, they're both pretty comparable, except for Beal is, of course, 9 overall better. So I think we might actually start him. Davis is an 88. Nice to see some of these guys climb up as well. Our fullback situation isn't horrible now. Boykins goes up to a 72. That's great. We actually have a speedy receiver there as well as our number 1. See our offensive line go up to the mid-80s. It's also nice to see that our team overall is up to a 75 now. But again, as we start relying on some of these freshmen, despite the fact that Lenovo ends up climbing up to a 74, it's going to be great at left end. But again, being able to rely on some of these guys might not be great, at least this year. But let's go. One of the biggest upgrades, I think, Nate Sammy goes up to a 78 as a cornerback, which is great. And also, if you see right there, too, Bibbs, free safety, 76. So while we might not be stellar, we don't look horrible. But unfortunately, we do have to cut 13 people. This is going to be rough. And I think for the last one, we're just going to go with our lowest overall one that we can get rid of. Oh, and that's one of our fullbacks, Kindred. I'm so sorry, man. But time to get back into Season 4 now. So let's go. I'm glad to see that our overall is still mid-70s. I thought it was going to be much lower than that. And to see some of these guys actually progress the way that they have is actually really promising too. So while we don't necessarily have many needs, obviously we just had to cut a ton of guys, we obviously still have a few. So I think we're really going to look at these guys and just find the ones that I think are really going to fit our team the best. If you don't have good stats, at least to me, then I don't think that we're going to be able to bring you to the school. And a scrambler with 77 speed, no thank you. Another scrambler with 72 speed, but he does have 84 throw power, but again, not necessarily what we're looking for. And look, I know I said all that about those other scramblers, but 73 speed, 86 acceleration, and an 85 throw power for a scrambler, I think it'd actually be pretty good. Why not offer him a scholarship? And wow, we actually found our first bust. Alex Weiss, a 1-star bust. How is that possible? And hey, an 88 speed, 85 acceleration halfback? Yeah, we'll take a flyer. But man, with all the guys that we ended up taking off our board on that one because it didn't really fit what we wanted, I feel like we wasted a lot of hours there. But thankfully, we start off with the bye week, and that means that we can start recruiting some more of these guys. Probably not a kicker right away. I feel like there are other more important positions. And Zach Bush is a bust as well. That is rough. We haven't even found a gem yet. And there we go, our first gem, Dion Noel. So yeah, we are definitely going to offer him a scholarship. And realistically, I think we're going to contact friends and family for this one. And Cortez Church, yet another one. But unfortunately, we don't have a ton of hours here, so we're going to have to search his social media and hope he doesn't go up to his top 8. But again, still so many guys to scout, so let's move on to the next week. Let's get through this bye week, and let's just really hope that, again, no one locks us out, as Checkwood does, which is totally okay. I don't think we even scouted him. But at this point, really the two that we want to land are the two defensive players, the right outside linebacker and the defensive tackle. But again, anyone else would just be, I guess, icing on the cake. A lot of the guys that we've drafted over the last year or two are the ones that are going to be seniors at the end of this rebuild. So again, a lot of these guys are going to be backups. I think they'll be juniors at the end of this one, or redshirt sophomore, or something like that. But here we go. We are 0-0 this season. That's great. We haven't lost a game. But now we have to play number 16 Tulane on the road in our first game of the season. And needless to say, we unfortunately dropped that one. Now the good news is Noel is actually in his top 5 right now, which means that we can actually schedule a visit. And even though I don't necessarily want to wait this long, it could be a +3. I'm going to wait till week 7. I'm going to take the risk. And let's bring him in for Louisiana Monroe. and let's really sell that proximity to home. But since we have a pretty healthy lead on everyone, let's try to scout a couple other guys. But we will get some of those hours back next week, and I'm sure that some of these guys will end up going into their top 5 next week. But let's get through this game against UCF. Please tell me we pick up the first win of the season. And unfortunately, we do not. And that championship contender continues to slip. But these games have both been close. I mean, we lost to Tulane 23-20, and this game 28-24. We're just not able to close out, apparently. But Beal, 350, 3 touchdowns. Blanco, unfortunately, only 43 yards on the ground. Dennis and Boykins, 97 apiece, with all 3 touchdowns. And against Tulane, kind of the same. Beal is not too bad, 271, 2 touchdowns. Davis was much better on the ground, but I'm guessing that he might be down with an injury. And Dennis, 130 and 2 touchdowns. And unfortunately, Davis is injured with a pulled groin, but he's only going to be out for another couple weeks. And thankfully, a lot of them are in their top 5, which means that I'm actually, especially for the gems here, going to end up going for the hard sell and bringing them in on a visit. And thankfully, this is a complimentary visit, and if we win, it's another +4 as well. So let's end up going with that, and let's sell, as much as I hate to say it, that Coach Prestige. And again, the other thing that we could do as well is to be able to scout a couple other guys, and I think we might do that. But again, the fact that we're going to have to end up releasing some guys or encouraging them to transfer, I don't know. We had so many guys that we had to encourage to transfer that I don't want to have to do that again next season. But this one should be an easy game. FCS Northwest, please tell me we pick up our first win. And I'm hoping that's going to be the case because Dion Noel ends up committing. Again, one of those gems. And we do end up winning. That is great to see, although it is pretty expected against an FCS team. As Peter McLeod, Defensive Player of the Week, 6 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a sack. But again, we got some hours. Let's try to scout a couple other guys. It'd be nice to be able to find a gem, especially at some of those positions that we need. But again, they aren't necessarily what we're looking for, and we don't think they're going to help us. I think we're just going to take them out. But hey, an 80 throw power, 77 speed, maybe. But these stats for a pass coverage, right outside linebacker, I don't know about that. 54 play recognition, 52 man coverage. Don't think we can deal with that. But with some of the extra hours, we really want to schedule some of these guys. And like I said, week 5 is going to definitely be an offensive visit. So let's end up bringing in Uche. However, we are going to be simming here against North Texas. On the road, they're 2-0. Let's take them down. And we don't. We dropped to 1-3, and this season is not looking good right now. But let's continue to try to bring some guys in because I think that's going to be the only thing to make me feel a little bit better. And we'll bring Holyfield in for Texas State. Why not? Again, I want that ULM one to really be more like a defensive one. So let's end up doing that. But really, our only saving grace right now is the fact that we're playing Marshall, who's 1-3 as well. It's our first conference matchup, so if we end up winning all our conference games, hey, maybe we can end the season pretty well. But that's going to be a tall order for a 76 overall team. But things are not looking good as we are scoreless almost at the end of the first half. That is not looking good for us. And hopefully we can complete that. Thankfully we do to Blanco, and we get out of bounds. Okay, so it is just a sim thing. This guy is not that bad. That's good to know. All right, let's see if we can get a good play here. Can he get a good release? I think he does. Not. He ends up intercepting that. Great play by him. Thankfully we do get it right back, though, somehow. And hopefully we can find a way to pick up a score because I do not want to end this half without any points. But that means that we really need to hurry up here. So let's do this. Can we get it out to him? No, that gets swatted away. I need to remember our good quarterback ended up transferring. And honestly, who can blame him? You know what I mean? Get him on the out, and that's going to be 1st and goal. I'm telling you, Blanco's going to get open on the zig over here on the right. Let's see if we can get him. Nope. That's going to be swatted down too. But all right, one more shot now. Let's see if we can get it. Can we run it? Oh, this guy is not as fast. Oh, no. And let's call the timeout. And you know what? No guts, no glory. Why not? We're on the 4-yard line. Let's get this right here. And he hangs on to it. We got ourselves a touchdown. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to end up coming back here. We didn't score since then. We need a lot of help. And that is just going to go down for an incompletion. We end up losing 20-7 to Marshall. Bro, I am not going to lie. Playing with these 1-stars is actually pretty rough. So let's end up advancing through the week. And let's just hope that we didn't lose anyone here. And that championship contender going down to a D- is rough. But we do only have 3 guys that might want to transfer. That's not horrible. But let's get some of these guys in on visits. I hate to put Coach Prestige because we are 1-4 and all that. But hey, you know what? Looks like something that he actually kind of values, so let's end up going with that. And of course, let's go proximity to home because that is not changing. But so far, we've only gotten one commit, and that's not great. But then again, we are kind of used to winning games, so let's get through this bye week. Let's hope that maybe we can actually see a commit here because we're kind of running dry. And thankfully, we did get Uche, the quarterback, but that is about it. But unfortunately, we've scheduled everyone that we can for remaining weeks, which means we're going to be playing this week, Week 9, and Week 11, and we're just going to truly just hope for the best for the rest of these guys. Maybe we'll just load them up with some hours. But let's go. Not only is this a big game to be able to get some recruits, but it's a big rivalry game against Louisiana Monroe. And if we end up winning this one, ooh, it's nice to see our overalls are actually kind of close. But if we end up winning this one, we end up unlocking that one between Motivator and Architect, and hopefully we can start to put some points in there. But let's make sure we go out there and win this rivalry game. And thankfully, as we're getting closer to the end of the first half, we're tied and in the red zone. So I'm really hoping that we can make something out of this, as Y was open, but I think we're going to be able to scramble in. Beal on the field. Nice to actually see him be able to have a little bit of speed. But here is where things get tough. 3 minutes left in the game. It is a tie game. We need to pick up a big stop right here. There we go. Really nice stop on the run. But we need to do a lot more than that. We need to do that every single down right here and make this as long of a field goal as possible. Now, we can push them out of field goal range. That would be even better as they go with the play action. But we can't get there, but man, what a catch. I can't believe we didn't have someone out there. Now we have to hold them to a field goal. It's the only way that we're really going to be able to try to pick up a win here. Because again, we can definitely work it downfield to be able to get a field goal, but being able to get in the end zone has not necessarily been our forte this season. So let's go. They're going to go with another run. I think that's going to be a hold. But we do get him down before the first down. But I think we're going to see the hold right here. We absolutely do. We're going to bring that back. And it's definitely not going to be enough to push him out of field goal range. But still, it's going to make it a little more difficult. And they have a chance. They're going to have to throw it out. And they have less of a chance of getting a first down here. Third and very, very long as they just go for the run and we take them down. They're going to have to kick the field goal. And now, thankfully, that is going to give us 2 minutes as, oh, they almost missed it. As we were able to, hopefully, be able to get a field goal or a touchdown here. We just got to be smart here. We don't want to make any unnecessary throws. As thankfully, we are going to actually scramble for this one. I think we're going to slide. I am not fumbling at this point in the game. You know what I mean? So let's end up taking the drag route. There we go, and we got a first down. Just so we can potentially stop the clock too. We're going to send everyone deep. Maybe we can actually get lucky. I think we do. He broke away. What a catch by Blanco. We're down in field goal range, and I think we can milk the clock now. The good news is Davis is back in the game, so that means that we're going to have some pretty good runs here, hopefully. Better than 3 coming up soon. So maybe that wasn't great, but this one is going to be a lot better as we take the spin move. Davis breaks off a tackle and gets up for another couple yards. And now this is where we're going to have to throw, and we're going to have to pick up the first down on 3rd and 3. We're going to take the drag route. And he hangs on to it down to the 1 yard line. Clock down a little bit and just pound it right up the middle. We have 3 timeouts. We can just use them if we need to. We do not want to give them any time, as we do just walk right into the end zone. Now they have 11 seconds, but we're going to be up by 4 now. So we got what I believe will be the last play of the game, as they're going to go deep on this one, but I don't think they're going to complete it. Well, okay, they do, and that's fine, but still, we end up picking up the win. We win a rivalry game. And thankfully, that is 2 wins on the board for this season. And again, we're going to be able to unlock that new tree, so we're going to be able to do that too. Granted, we are going to need the skill points to be able to unlock it, which means that we're going to have to win some other really big games coming up too. As we get Cortez Church, as well as Ronnie Lowen. Tremaine Turner, nice. I remember putting him on the board. Demetrius Page, that's great. Nick Charles. And man, that is a lot of guys right there. We got a good 5. And there it is. The Architect is now unlocked. So I think everyone on our board are just the guys that we're going to roll with. I don't think we're going to really scout anyone else. Again, we don't need more guys on our roster. We just need better guys. And thankfully, we do end up picking up a win, and we're up to 3 and 4 now. Now, this is a game that we're going to be playing because it's Texas State, it's at home, and we got a couple guys visiting. So let's make sure that we end up landing these guys and making a really good impression, because it'd be nice to land all these guys before the offseason. But let's go. We got Texas State at home. Again, 81 overall, a little bit better than us. But again, we've been able to take down teams like this. Let's see if we can do it again. But it looks like we're having a tough time right now. We're down 10-7 in the second half. We just need to pick up this 3rd and 2 on the ground as we run right up the middle. And we pick it up, thankfully. So that means we're going to have to get in the end zone here. And why can't we? Oh my goodness. That's why we can't. That's all right. I should have seen the blitz coming, but I did not, as we hit him right across the middle, and Blanco is down to the 4-yard line. So I trust Davis here. Let's just pound it right up the middle, find that hole, and he does not, although he does stay on his feet for a while. I think we just need to run it outside. That's got to be the thing. So let's go outside here. Let's see if we can pick this up. We got a nice little hole and gets down to the 1. One more shot right here, just right up the middle. There we go, and we get in the end zone. Thank God. And we got ourselves a lead again. But it looks like we have things pretty well in hand. We're still up by 1 score on pretty much the goal line. And as we run to the outside here, I think if we have the speed, we can end up getting into the end zone. We got ourselves a 2-possession lead now. But if we don't pick up a stop here on 4th and 10, yeah, no, they have a really good chance of coming back. Remember that other onside kick? Yeah, we did not like that. Can we get there for the pick? No, we end up swatting it down because it was 4th and 10. Hello. Don't worry, guys. I'm not always this oblivious. Not always, at least. But let's go. Let's take that short route, and he can hang on 3rd and 5. But at least we can take our 3 here and be able to go up by 3 possessions. As we get it down the middle, we're up by 17. And thankfully, that is how the game ends. 27-10. We actually put a really good game together here. I'm not going to lie. And for a team that started out losing, we're really starting to pick it up as Dennis gets player of the game at 96 yards and a touchdown. Not bad. But again, sitting at 4-4 when we only have 2 seasons left to be able to make a national championship or even the playoffs in general, don't feel too confident right now. But at least we do get a halfback, Marquez Holyfield, as well as Steven Edmonds, left tackle, Daryl Crumpler, Zach Lipton, Kawhi LeCount, and yeah, that's going to be it. But we got 5 as well as reaching the top 3 for a couple other ones. We still have 6 guys on our board, but I'm pretty confident that they're going to end up signing with us. Doesn't look like anyone else has given them an offer. But now we just need to get through this game against Troy. Another conference game, but one that I think is completely winnable. As we end up getting a commit, Corey Jennings, as well as Timmy Ramsey. Please tell me that means that we ended up winning. Unfortunately, we did not. We are now 4-5. And looking at the guys that we have left, we have 3 that are not scheduled for a visit. Needless to say, we're not able to actually schedule them. So the only one that we have left is going to be week 11. So that means that we're going to end up playing this last home game here. And hopefully, we can pick up a win for the last game that we played this season, because I'm not sure if we're going to even make a bowl game at this point. I didn't realize I actually had the recording paused right now. And you guys just missed this. Hold on. We're going to go to the replay. Now, we ended up going for a Hail Mary here. It was the only thing that we had. And we throw it up. And look at this right here. Very reminiscent of the Bears, kind of. Tips off of 12. We grab it with 89 Mama. And he just heads downfield and just barely into the end zone as we end up tying the game. Truly, what a way to end the half, as we end up tying it right back up. And that just goes to show you should always be recording. You never know what's going to end up happening. But let's go. We need to pick this one up. As we go, we actually get Shepard across the middle. But let's go. We don't really have anyone on Blanco here. I think we might have a touchdown. Oh no, that is way too short. Damn it. That had the makings of a really good play, and unfortunately, we just don't get it right there. Oh, come on. There is no way he wasn't just on his nuts. I think there was a little too much contact there, but who the hell am I, as we end up just getting the 3 points and we'll take the lead. But now here on 3rd and goal, we have a chance to go up by 2 possessions. Question is, can we find someone who is going to be open? As that is an interception? Are you kidding me? I mean, don't get me wrong, that was a really stupid throw on our part, but the fact that he intercepted that? Southern Mississippi, are we sure? Yeah, we're going to have to try to find a way to do the same. So come on, 2nd and inches. Let's just get the ball back right here. Yeah, they're just going to end up running it, and we are not there to stop it. This is not what we want to see at the end of the game. We do not want them to pick up this win. As we get over there, I wish you would have tried to intercept that. We had a really good shot at that one, and we just didn't, I don't know, put our hands on it. I mean, we swatted it down, I guess, but that's not the same. Oh, you got to get there, buddy. You should have recognized that. But my bad for assuming. That's okay. It's probably going to be the last play before the 2-minute warning, unless it's an incomplete pass. That is not an incomplete pass at all. I quit this game. Holy shit, I'm so bad. But at least we have 3 timeouts, and hey, we have a chance to be able to work it downfield to be able to win this game. As that's a nice, well, not a nice throw to Blanco, but it's still a really nice catch. Oh, I wonder if Dennis could actually burn him here. Let's see. No, he's probably not, but I got greedy. I don't have much to say about that. That's totally on me. Thankfully, we got a first down on that. Now, again, we don't need to do this quickly. We just need to do this, oh no, methodically. As I say that we don't need a deep play, and I try to go for something like that. That was dumb. That's okay, though, because you know what? Oh no, he was actually there, and yeah, no, that's going to be 3rd and 10. All right, we just need to get closer to the first down marker. Let's see what we can do. Thank you. He ends up getting Boykins. Let's go. We're down on their side of the field. But again, a field goal is not going to help us. We need to get into the end zone. Can we do that? As we end up hitting Dennis and gets free down to the 12-yard line. So we're working our way downfield. I absolutely love this. Thankfully, we hit Blanco, and he gets in the end zone, but we left them a lot of time to score. And legit, me playing defense right here is going to be probably the worst thing for us, unfortunately. Let's see if we can try to pick up. Oh, really nice stop right there. So let's just keep that up. Just got to be locked down right here. Again, probably our last game of the season as we end up getting the sack. By that, I mean, one of the games that we actually play. So let's even get some pressure here. 3rd and 20. It's a very long thing that they have to end up picking up. No shot. And that just goes to show you, sometimes you just need to send like 4 or 5 if you want to be able to stop them on those right there. And we end up getting them in the backfield. It's a good little loss of 3. And again, they're going empty back set, 31 seconds. They have no timeouts left. Let's keep them in bounds. There we go, like that. But they're in field goal range now. Well, let's go. Again, as long as we keep them in bounds and out of the end zone, we're in a good spot. Clock is going to have to run, and they're going to have to find a way to stop it. As they just go for a run, come on, you guys, take them down. And so now on 2nd and 10, they're going to try to kick the field goal to end up tying it. How did we give up a 3rd and 20? What did I say about me playing defense? Am I right? Oh, wait! It gets joint! Oh, we get the win! Let's fucking go! That is huge, and we get bailed out for the 5th win of our season. And the last one that we play, oh, that is beautiful. I just can't believe that. And Beal ends up getting player of the game, 310 and 3 touchdowns. I can only imagine how many interceptions he probably had, too. Oh, it was only 1, man. Definitely deserves player of the game. Let's go. So then as we advance through this week, I am hoping to see a lot of other commits because, again, we have 6 guys left. And I think we can land them all right here as we get Kareem. And never mind, there was only 1. Nice work. And we are so close on these guys that I don't think it's really going to be an issue. That means we get to sim through James Madison. Hopefully on the other side of this game, we are going to be bowl eligible. As Ruse ends up committing, that's great. We got another quarterback. But we do end up losing, and we are 5-6, which means that our eligibility for a bowl comes down to this away game against number 23 South Alabama. I do not feel confident about that. And you can't tell me that we're going to regress this much with just 1-star athletes. And we do end up losing. We are 5-7, and I can only imagine that we're going to be on the hot seat. So again, only 2 guys left here, Noble and Kimball, who's just so close. He's definitely going to commit by next week. And like I said, there is Kimball. So now we only have 1 more guy left. And there we go. Finally, John Noble. Thankfully, that's not going into the offseason. But something that might hopefully cheer me up here. Early National Signing Day. Let's see some depth traits, as we do have mostly normals, obviously, but we do have an impact with Kareem, the right outside linebacker, also Noel, the defensive tackle, Lowen and Church, again, offensive line, right outside linebacker. That's really, really great to see, but again, everyone else is just normal. And it looks like this season, Clemson just absolutely demolished Miami, 45-21. To win the national championship. Congratulations, guys. But now we get to go in the offseason. Hopefully we can find a good 1-star transfer, or at least we hopefully won't end up losing a lot of guys. And unfortunately, we do have 2 pretty good guys that are planning on transferring. Very low persuasion chance, and we need both of them. Fordham and Content, we recruited both of those, and unfortunately we're losing our center, and we're going to be losing our cornerback as well. That is rough, considering the fact that we're losing Davis. and Williams as well as Kirkwood, our left guard. This team is going to be a little rough this next year. If you thought 5-7 was bad, just you wait. And unfortunately, no pros this year. And we should look at the transfer portal. We have a very limited amount of 1-star, and one of them is already committed, with us being locked out on pretty much everyone else. So it looks like we're going to be simming to National Signing Day. That's a little upsetting, I'm not going to lie. The fact that there are a lot of deal breakers and lockouts just means that we're really going downhill as a program. And we already saw the depth trade, so we don't have to look at the National Signing Day. But let's see if we can move anyone around. And since we ended up losing a center, I think we're going to have to put this guy here at center since he is going to be an 80. But guys, we're going to need some really good training results because look at this. Look at this roster right now, man. I mean, the 82 is great at the running back, but still, man, 81... 56 at tight end, 82. The offensive line is still pretty decent, low 80s for the most part. And we actually look a little light at right tackle. And seeing that Boyd goes from an 82 to an 86 at right tackle, I think we have to make that change and just have an 80 overall center. But still, look at the defense though, man. A lot of 70s. It's great that we have an 80 at D tackle, but a lot of these guys are just not cutting it, so we need some really good training results. So do we get our wish? That's going to be the question here. As we see, not a lot of, increases, but that overall is at a 78, which isn't too bad. I wish Lousiana would have progressed a little bit more, but that means that we're going to be rolling with Beal yet again. 84 at halfback, not too bad. The fullback goes up. Dennis goes up to an 87. Incredible. The 95 speed is going to be fantastic. But a lot of these guys just in the 70s. Tight end only goes up to 60. That's rough. Thankfully, our line is improving pretty well. We do have a couple gems there, so to see that is really promising. Looks like our defense improved a little bit too. Some of the guys climbed up to the 80s, which is really awesome. And that actually explains the 79 defense that we have. So thankfully, some of that strategy worked, which means we only need to send 5 guys out of here, which is great to see. So let's go, guys. We only have 2 seasons left. We are getting into season 5 right now, which means that we have to find a couple more 1-star prospects here. Not that a lot of these are going to be a big help because, again, they're only going to have 1 more season being able to really increase, but it's okay. Maybe we might find some kind of gem and they might actually work out for us. But that means that we are only going to go after needs as well as maybe a fullback since he is so interested in us. But let's just get as many needs as we possibly can, and let's hope that we can find a couple gems here. And with only 500 hours, that just means that we gotta hope that we can find these guys a little bit quicker. 74 speed as a route runner. I am sorry, my friend, you are not coming to Louisiana. So unfortunately, not a lot of guys that were intriguing, but for the most part, we did scout a couple guys and offer a couple scholarships as well. But it's what we're gonna go with for now as we get out of the preseason and we get into week 0. And even though there still really hasn't been anyone great, we did find a 1-star gem in a quarterback, which is really great. And honestly, 78 speed I know isn't great, but still the 82 throw power and some pretty good accuracy might be better than what we got. So we do have a lot of our hours spread, but let's get into week 1. Obviously, the first week is a bye week. And let's see if maybe we can be a little bit better this season. But that does mean that we start out this season with a pretty tough matchup against Washington State on the road. They're a 1-0 team. Let's see if we can take them down. Let's see how good we actually are. And we don't take them down. That is unfortunate. We are 0-1 to start this season. Then again, man, look at this depth chart. Am I right? No one looks extremely good. And it's not like we took a really good loss either. We lost 35-21. But Beal had a great game. 337, 2 touchdowns. Couldn't get it done on the ground, unfortunately. And defensively, hey, we got some pretty decent pressure. We had a sack, 4 TFLs, and an interception. But obviously not enough to help us win the game. So I guess that means we're going to have to go pretty hard on recruiting some of these guys. So we ended up scheduling a visit with Pike in week 5 against Troy. And I'm hoping that the quarterback ends up getting up to his top 5 by then because I'd like him to attend that visit as well. So unfortunately, we only have a handful of guys on our board that we actually want to go after. And we're also going to be at home against Tulsa this week. They have not played a game yet this season. Maybe they're a little rusty. Nope. Apparently, they just needed a little bit of a break. 0-2, man. Not the way we wanted to start Season 5. And look at that. We ended up getting a gem here in Coronado. So it's nice to see that there are still gems out there. But since we have those 40 hours open, let's take the quarterback who is now ready for that visit. And let's bring him in week 5 as well. And it's nice because it is that complimentary visit with the wide receiver. But honestly, because they are 1-stars, I feel like this is recruiting on easy mode. You know what I mean? It's just unfortunate that they're not great players. But let's go. 0-2, we should end up winning against FCS. And let's go! Finally, we are now 1-2. And since we do only have one more week to be able to schedule someone for that visit with the quarterback and the receiver and the right guard, we're going to take a little fly here on Cardi. We don't know a damn thing about what he wants, but for the most part, a lot of these guys are looking for the campus lifestyle. I'm probably going to get that wrong, but screw it. Let's go for it. Let's go. One more week before we can hop into a game. We are 1-2. I would love to be 500 after this game against Duke. And unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. The good thing, though, is that at least we have not gotten into Sunbelt play yet. But now we do have our first matchup. Again, we're 1-3 going against 2-2 Troy. Kind of like the same thing. I think I'm going to go to bed because I am exhausted. So we'll pick this up hopefully in the morning, if not then sometime soon. Well, hey, we got some good news all around. Not only are we up by 4, but we have a chance to be able to get some points here before the end of half as we end up getting an incompletion to Shelley. And not just that, but it is actually the next day this time. Can you believe it? It's not the morning because I ended up having a lot of work to do today, but still, we get it the next day and we got a first down. And it looks like they got him double covered on the left, so let's see if maybe we can take the... No, we're not going to be able to get that. I think we're going to have to throw this one away. I thought that was actually going to leave the double move wide open across the middle, but apparently not. That's okay, because you know what? We have a really good throw right here. We got a first down to McConnell as we almost get up to midfield. And again, we need to move quick, but we don't need to move that quick because, again, we have plenty of time. And we do have all 3 timeouts, so if we get into some trouble, we can always call those. But for right now, feel like we are really good as we get him across the middle. He grabs it. Let's go. What a gun. That was a great catch and run by Dennis as well. But again, we don't want to give him too much time to be able to respond. But if we can get in the end zone pretty quickly, that would be great. But that is out of the back. But we really need to pick this up. I do not feel okay settling for a field goal here. But if we can still get a first down somehow, we will. And Dennis actually gets in the end zone on the drag. And we got a 2-possession lead now. Well, we did. And now it's all tied up in the third with them threatening to score, unfortunately. Come on, we need to pick up some kind of turnover. And we knock the ball out. Now, that's not a turnover, but hey, at least we're not letting them get in the end zone right away. Come on, 4 guys rushing. We need to get into the... Never mind. But it looks like our offense is really struggling now. Troy's really started to put it together as this game has gone on. And it's just unfortunate that our offense hasn't been able to put it together as McConnell grabs that one. So we are faced with another 4th down. But that's not to say that's going to be impossible. Although now it is because that is a pick, and I think that's how we're going to lose to Troy. And despite the fact that we did end up scoring one more time in the 4th, we end up going down by 3, and that's extremely rough. Now, we still end up getting a commit with Josh Fraboni here, but still, losing that game is just extremely heartbreaking. But for now, we're going to try to bring some of these guys in on visits, and again, I think this might be the last year that we really care about recruiting. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to end up scheduling a couple more visits. Not that it's going to matter that much, because again, if next season is going to be our last season, it's not like any of these guys are really going to be good enough to be able to play. But hey, you never know. Just like you never know if we're going to beat Georgia State here. And we end up getting a right guard, Max Pike, to end up committing as well as Clayton Gallimore. That's pretty nice. Dennis Granger, any other guys? Marquise Salam. So nice 4 commits there, and we do end up winning. That is actually incredible. Any given Saturday, am I right? As Steven Blanco, our halfback, 71 yards with 2 touchdowns, ends up winning Player of the Week. And thankfully, a lot of those guys are not guys that were actually scheduled for a week, so now there are a handful of guys that we don't have to schedule. However, with the remaining guys, because of how terribly we're doing this season, looks like we actually have a higher tier opponent for every home game for the rest of the season. So let's really beef up this James Madison week because they are 2-3. I feel like that's going to be a little more winnable than South Alabama. And honestly, it is kind of a shame that these are going to be the last 2 seasons because I think especially since this halfback and quarterback are both gems, they actually could have developed into something pretty decent in a couple of years. But let's not think about that because, again, they're still 1-stars, you know, even if they are gems. Either way, though, we are now halfway through the season, and that will allow us to look at the season stats, man. Maybe we're going to have to do something to really kind of change things up, but now I see part of the reason. Beal ended up going down with an injury after starting off 756 with 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and Lousiana ended up coming in, and now he's got 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions himself. A little better completion percentage, but still not what we're looking for. He's got some on the ground as well, but Blanco, 289 with 2 touchdowns. We need to really pick that up. Dennis, 485. McConnell, 314, both with multiple scores. And our defense, despite the fact that we have been losing, has not been bad. Pretty decent pressure. Judge with 5 TFLs, 2.5 sacks. Wright with 4 TFLs, 2 sacks himself. But again, especially as it pertains to pressuring the quarterback, we need to get in a bit more. But we got this rivalry game again against Louisiana Monroe. Let's see if we can take them down like we did last season. And we did get that 1-star gem with the quarterback, as well as a complimentary wide receiver, a D tackle as well. And is this really going to be a common thing here where we actually pick it up halfway through the season and make it seem like we're going to make a bowl game? Because now we're 3-4. And now as it stands, all we have are just a couple guys coming in week 9 as well as week 10. So that last week against Arkansas State isn't going to be played. So that means that we do play this one against South Alabama. 85 overall. It's going to be a tough game, but let's go out there and actually win. I'm really hungry for one. And honestly, I think this is one of those types of rebuilds where you're going to have to play like every single game. I don't think that sim is really going to favor you with 1-star prospects. Because obviously we haven't even gotten in the end zone, let alone even got the ball really on offense. And they're going to get in the end zone, not quite down to the 1. And unfortunately, it looks like they're going to take a 2-possession lead here as they get through the middle and in the end zone. Hey, and finally, our first time on offense this game. Still have yet to score. And the thing is, we actually have a real starting quarterback out there. And McConnell, if he could have broken away, would have been a big score. So maybe the quarterback wasn't the issue the whole time, but yeah, unfortunately, I think the speed is an issue too. That just means that we need to air it out if we want to. Oh, let's go. Wide open. I wish that was a better throw. I'm sorry, but these recruits are just absolutely terrible. That's all right. We get in the end zone finally, and we got our first score of the game. But unfortunately, they couldn't do anything else. We didn't get another shot, and we end up losing 17-7. Kind of knew we were going to end up losing, but man, that was not nice. But at least we still end up getting a commit in Isaiah Thrash, but that is the only one. And I will say, if there's any silver lining in this at all, it's that everyone that plays for the Ragin Cajuns right now knows that they're so much better than a 1-star. But hey, now we got back-to-back weeks where we are actually playing, and this time against James Madison. They're an 81 overall. Hopefully we can still pick up a win here. And honestly, I'm a little upset about how this season is going right now, so picking up a win here against James Madison, honestly, would just make my season. Because again, I don't think we're going to have anything else to cheer about. But a win right here would make this season less embarrassing. So let's pick that up across the middle to Shelley, and we got a 2nd and 3. And that gives us a real shot to be able to go up by 2 scores here, as we end up hitting Dennis, who can't hang on to it. So come on. We need the first down right here. Oh, and there we go. He's wide open, but he can't hang on to it. It is really rough when your receivers cannot do their job. So, 4th and 3, because I do not feel like just... Oh, no. Well, maybe we should have just taken our points. That's on me, but 1st and 10, at least we're down the red zone. We have a chance to tie it up right here as we just take him out of the backfield. Nice little spin move, but he stays on him, and that's a no gain. So let's kind of do that one more time, but this time, let's actually get some blockers out there for him. Let's go. Get it out there. Terrible block. But really, should I be that surprised? Probably not. And yeah, we're just going to throw that one straight into the ground. We're just going to take our 3 on this one because, again, we should have taken it earlier in the game. Just need to make sure that we can actually hit it. And thankfully, barely, we do. But our defense does get us the ball back in the red zone, and we got a chance right here. Let's hit him out there on the RPO, and he gets hit as soon as he catches it. So honestly, we're going to run for it just because I feel like we're not going to make any big mistakes by doing that. We pick up 5. Let's go. This shouldn't be difficult to find someone who's going to be open right here. And of course, it's going to be him in the flat. Let's go, Shelley. And we got a first down. So here's something that we've yet to do, and that is a jet touch pass. Let's hope that it works. Especially against this defense. Let's get out there. Good blocks, and we're going to get in the end zone. Thank God. And now that's going to require a big stop from our defense here. Can they do it? Oh, don't tell me you got burned. Let's go. Way to knock that down, buddy. Sorry, guys. As you can tell, I have absolutely no faith in this team. I knew that the 1-star challenge was going to be hard, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. As they hit him out of the backfield, and we lace kind of a hit on him. So no matter what, they're going to probably be going for it on 4th down. Well, maybe not, but they end up going with a run, not what I was expecting, and he's down. I definitely thought they were going to be passing it, but again, they probably were not going to go for it on 4th down because they have all 3 timeouts, but still, come on, let's get through. Who's over there for him? Wow, what a juke. And let's take him down. So obviously they have a lot of time, a lot of timeouts, but question is, are they going to try to score quickly, or are they going to try to run some clock? Let's see, as they just go for the RPO. I don't know how we missed the tackle, but he runs out of bounds, which is good for us. So they only gain 1 on that one. And again, stop the clock. So let's take advantage of that. Nope. They get in the end zone. Now we need to go down and score again. The way that Beal's been playing, or at least the way that he played in the first half, I don't know if that's going to be possible, but we're going to try to right here as we end up getting sacked. Let's go. One more play before the 2-minute warning. We just need to hurry up, which thankfully we do. And we're just going to throw that out again. Holy shit. So 3rd and 17. We're going to be going for it, so we just need to get just a little bit closer to the first down, and we actually get it up to a 4th and 1. Let's go. We just need a first down. Let's just run for it right here. We're going to end up... Wow, and I can't believe that's the way it's going to end. Our offensive line had one job to do with only 5 guys up front, and they get beat, and we go down. And this team has become just so frustrating, man. That is so rough. We're not going to make a bowl game again, I would imagine. Although do end up getting who I believe to be that 1-star gem, Coronado. We also have Edgerton, a right outside linebacker. Great name for that. Dwayne Burton, a fullback. That's great. But since we do only have one more guy to recruit, I think we're going to sim pretty much to the end of the season. I mean, again, unless we end up winning out, we're not making a bowl game. And regardless, is it really one that we're going to want to play? I legit think that we would just be much better off looking towards next season and making sure that our last one is going to be a good one, as we end up dropping 2 of our last 3, and we end 4-8. Now, I'm really hoping that we just don't get fired here, but you never know. But let's get rid of both of these guys. You guys have been absolutely nothing but horrendous coordinators, and now we're just going to have to figure something out next week. And thankfully, in the midst of all that chaos, we did end up landing everyone that was on our board. So we got 13 guys here, and hopefully that means we won't have to ask anyone to transfer. But now we get a chance to see what everyone's depth traits are, and also be able to hire a new coach. And honestly, since we're not going to worry at all about any kind of recruiting or anything, and maybe even not even motivation, we're going to look for guys that are more tacticians and maybe a little bit of the motivator too. But we see that Cano is a normal development, Coronado is an impact, Edgerton is a normal, and that's pretty much all everyone is, except for this D tackle and also the quarterback who is the gem, both impact. Same with Gallimore at quarterback, so we're going to have a couple. It's just unfortunate that we're not really going to be able to use them beyond next season. And honestly, I know this one might be a stretch, but this head coach from Western Kentucky actually has a really great skill tree. So I think we're going to offer him the offensive coordinator position. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of guys that are available for the defensive coordinator position that really intrigue us, but this guy has a lot in his tactician, and despite the fact that he is a D prestige, I think we're still going to offer him our defensive coordinator position. And surprisingly enough, they both just accepted. And that's great because I think our offensive coordinator is going to be great. I think we're actually going to change our offensive scheme to an air raid. Plus, depending on how training results end up going, hey, we might have someone who has some pretty good throw power and actually a little bit of speed too if they need to get out of the pocket. And you can definitely tell that we're years into this rebuild because number 1 UNLV took down number 2 Arizona State 31-15 in the national championship. And thankfully, we're only losing a couple guys, and that's all to graduation, but that means that we're losing our quarterback and our best wide receiver as well. A lot of guys in the 80s are going to be gone now. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I wanted to get anyone out of the transfer portal, but hey, this makes my job much easier. And honestly, because we do need a better tight end, Chad Fasano goes up to a 67 as a tight end, and I know that's not extremely high, but that is one of our better ones here. And because we need the depth at middle linebacker, because they're kind of weak right here, our starting right outside linebacker is going to go to middle linebacker. That puts him up to an 80 and actually puts him up as the starter there. But also, we have left outside linebacker Traore. I think you guys remember him. 79 overall, stays that as a right outside linebacker. And he is going to be our new starting right outside linebacker too. But other than that, we're just going to be relying on the training results to see if we actually have a team that can, at the very least, make a bowl next season. But realistically, I think it's going to be pretty tough. I think it's going to be tough to even compete for the Sun Belt, but we're going to give it our best shot. So, moment of truth for the very last time. Training results. And we go up to an 81 overall. First time in a long time since that's been the case with an 84 defense. Yikes! What are we going to do? We have Lousiana here, of course, but despite the fact that Lousiana is 1 overall better, Burt might be a better quarterback. They're about the same in speed. He's just got so much more agility, change of direction. Just a matter of, that throw power just being a little weaker. So really, we're going to have to figure that out. Our halfback is a 78. Don't even look at the fullback. Mama's going to be our lead receiver, along with McConnell and Boykins, as well as College as well. It's nice to have a couple guys that are close to 90 speed, but we're not going to be burning anyone deep. Fasano goes up to a 73, which is great. Our left tackle is an 82, 85, 86, 84, 87. So our offensive line is going to be good. Hopefully that'll actually give us a little bit of protection. Now, of course, our defense, a lot of them are in the 80s, which is great. Of course, our middle linebacker goes up to an 81. Traore ends up going up to an 84 as a sophomore. That's incredible. Most of our cornerbacks are up in the 80s. And actually, so are both our safeties. So I feel like our defense could be a bit better this season. Hopefully with our new coordinator, that's going to be the case. We just hope that we can actually take the conference here, because I think expecting us to make it to the playoffs is a huge, lofty expectation. And of course, we still have to encourage 6 transfers. And with the lack of guys that ended up leaving this offseason, it really makes sense. So since this is going to be the last season, I don't think we're going to do anything with scouting. We're just going to make sure that we hop into the key moments of all the home games that we have. And if for some reason we can pull out a potential conference championship berth, then hey, you know what? We're going to play that full game as well as anything that will be in the postseason. But for now, we just need to focus on going at least 6-6 and being bowl eligible. But becoming bowl eligible, I think, is going to be extremely difficult for this team. So again, not going to look at anything for recruiting. Let's just continue to go forward. Let's get to our first home game, and let's see if we can end up winning that one, as obviously we're going to have a bye in week 0. But we do get into our first game. Unfortunately, this one is going to be on the road at East Carolina. Now, question is, are we going to be able to win this one, or are we just pretty much doomed from the beginning? And that one is not in the right column. We are 0-1 now, which means that, thankfully, this next one is going to be a rivalry game at home against Louisiana Tech. So let's hop into this one. Let's see if we can end up winning this one with the moments. Again, our defense is actually pretty decent. It's an 84 overall, but in terms of general overall, man, yeah, they definitely have the advantage. We just need to get a better offense at some point. And as much as I wish I could just point at the 79 overall offense and blame it on them, I know it's not just them, despite the fact that they have 0 points now as we get into almost the end of the first half, as thankfully we actually pick up a completion. Now we just need a bunch more of those to be able to work it downfield. And where are you going with that one? Apparently not where you're supposed to. Oh, I forgot that we have Lousiana at starting quarterback. That's actually good to see you. But it's not good to see us not catch that. So honestly, I really don't give a shit. We're already down 17-0. Screw it. Let's go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Am I right? We're going to pick up the drag. McConnell gets up to about midfield. But getting into the end zone, I think, is going to be the big challenge here. Thankfully, oh, what a route by Fasano. Good to know we actually do have some talent on this team. I love it. And we end up getting, oh my gosh, he just got pushed off. And we do have 3 timeouts, which is good, but the question is, do we even necessarily need them? No, we don't, because we just threw a pick. That's a really bad read. But realistically, our chances of winning this one were pretty damn low, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, well, what a great route by Mama, who ends up getting up to midfield. Let's see if we can at least score and make it look like we're a competent college team. I know we really haven't showed that all year, but hey. Or at least I guess in this entire rebuild for 6 seasons. But unfortunately, Sim took care of that and they did not score. Isn't that great? And so now we're down 31-0. This game's 100% over, and I honestly think this rebuild is over as well. But hell, let's just have some fun with it, as that's like not even close to a good throw. These 1-stars are absolute trash. And boy, do we get rolled, man. Honestly, a 1-star rebuild should never be possible. I mean, maybe if you're playing on like All-American or Freshman or something like that, but on Heisman, dude, it's difficult. I would need someone who actually knows how to play this game really well to be able to pick up some big wins. And of course, we're going 2-0-2 as we have another home game, this time against an FCS team. This one should not be that bad. Hopefully we can go out and actually have our one good game of the season. So I shouldn't be surprised when it's still 0-0 here with like 49 seconds left in the half. But we're knocking on the door here. I think we can pick up a score. As we get it above, let's go up to Kimball, and he gets down to the 2. And with them pressing on the outside, I don't know if we're going to be able to go for the pass, but yeah, we're not going to. Let's just run right up the middle. Sterling can't pound his way in. Let's do that again, because I do not really trust us to be able to get in the end zone through the air, but thankfully we do. Thank you for the RPO. He ended up crashing a little bit, or at least backing off, and we had a score. One of the only times we'll get to all season. And a chance to make it a 3-possession game. Let's go. Down in the red zone yet again. Let's get it out on that bubble. Terrible throw. Boykins gets a couple, though. Hey, we're not going to get a lot of big gains, but let me tell you, when you add them all up, it'll be a good one. Well, at least against an FCS team. And it's not an impressive win, but at least it's the first one of the season. 5 more to go and we'll make a bowl. But we already lost one of our 6 at home. So that means that we're going to have to require Sim to really take care of at least one more. But I think this one's actually going to be a difficult matchup. Another home game. But at least Louisiana Monroe is about the same overall as us. But again, that has really not mattered. We just barely took down an FCS team that was about 12 under us. So how are we going to compete with someone at about our level? But big 3rd and 10 play here. We need to pick this up. Oh my gosh, can he hit him deep? Let's go! What a play, Fasano! See, that's what we need, is we need a big mismatch with one of our tight ends or our receivers. Thankfully, he had a little more speed than his defender, and we get out there for a score. Yikes. And that's got to be Anthony Fasano's brother, am I right? Because, man, he's doing pretty damn well. Let's go. Let's get him out there on the bubble. Nice. Bad throw again, but it's still enough to be able to pick up the first. And now we got to do it again, but this time at least we're in the red zone, so that kind of helps out a little bit. As we get it up to Boykins, and we're even closer to the goal line now. And sorry, legit, I just need to make sure that it was still on Heisman, because how we played in that first game that we played versus this one isn't incredibly different, but we're doing a whole hell of a lot better. And don't get me wrong, it's not like Monroe is a great team, but still a lot better than the other one we played. But let's just finish this one right up the middle. Let's take a 3-possession lead. Great blocks, and we get in 21-0 now. But come on. We got another 4. Oh, no. Not impressive, but at least it's a 4th and 13 now. Come on, we should be able to pick up a stop on this one. Get through. There we go. And we get picked. Thank you. Priest. Go down. Just don't fumble the ball, and let's take the win. And what looked like it was going to be a dominating win ended up just being a 21-14 win. But at the same time, first conference victory, which is great, and we also get the win. Those conference victories are what we need if we want to actually compete for the conference, which, again, I think is a little out of reach just because of our overall and the way that we've been playing. But still, at least we're 1-0 right now. And now we got a non-conference matchup against Wyoming on the road. At least it's a non-conference one, right? So even if we lose here, it's still going to be okay. And who is this Ragin Cajuns team? Another win? 3 wins in a row? As Judge ends up getting 2 TFLs and 2 sacks, ends up winning Sunbelt Defensive Player of the Week. Those types of games are the ones that we need, but now we got another one on the road that is going to be a conference matchup against Georgia Southern, who's 2-3 right now, but again, the way that our team is kind of constructed, still think that any game, even if they're like 1-4, is going to be pretty difficult. As we see that we end up picking up the loss there. That is really unfortunate, but at least we are at 500. But we have another game on the road, another conference one against Arkansas State, who has been much better, despite the fact that they're 0-2 in conference right now and 3-3 in general. But I suspect that they're going to be 1-2 in conference after this week, just like us. And maybe I just need to have a little more confidence in our team, because now we're 4-3. We are 2-1 right now in conference, which is great. But as you can see, Texas State and Louisiana Monroe are the 2 that are ahead of us right now. Obviously Monroe because they do have an extra win, but we do hold the tiebreaker over them. And if we beat Texas State right here, we're going to be there in a tie with them as well, and we're going to hold both tiebreakers. So that means that we need to go out here and pick up a big win. I don't know how easy this is going to be. There are 79 overall. We have the advantage. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to pick up a win here. But thankfully we have a chance to go up by 2 possessions here with a field goal. This is just going to be a really long one, especially with the wind in our face. But come on, this one should make it. Have the distance. We got it, baby. We got the 2 possession lead. It's just unfortunate that they have 6 points now, and it's within 4. And they're in the red zone. So let's get through. Thank you very much. We end up picking up the sack. 2nd and goal now. We just need to continue to get some really good pressure and have some good coverage back there. And unfortunately, that was not it right there. But let's go. This is going to be a big stop right here if we can get it. If we can hold them to a field goal, we keep the lead. But if not, oh, get over there. Pick him up. Let's go. Get him out. And that field goal right here is definitely what we needed, or else we would have gone down. And I do not have a lot of faith. But let's go. They missed the field goal wide left. That's what I'm talking about. And with 3 minutes left, we have a chance to put this game away. This would be a huge win for the program. and also for this team in general. I know it doesn't seem like it would be that impressive of a win, but still, a 5-2 team at the top of our branch of the division, yeah, that would be a huge game for us. As we take the drag, Kimball gets in the end zone, and that may have just sealed it. Well, maybe not, and they're going for the onside kick, and they have all 3 timeouts. No, thank you so much. God, I have no trust in this team. But 1 first down here is going to seal it. Question is, can we get it? We got some pretty decent blocks, but only get 3 yards out of it. So maybe an outside run is what's going to do it. We might not have the speed, but if we can seal it, let's go. We do right there. And Sterling, honestly, get in the end zone. That's fine. We don't have many opportunities to score points. And even though that could have been pretty disastrous in the end, we still win by 10. And we get atop of our side of the conference. And our offense did so well that Mateo Crum, 1 interception and a touchdown, ended up being our player of the game. Obviously, I was being a little sarcastic about the offense playing well, but that's fine. We pick up a win, and we're 1 game away from bowl eligibility, and again, we're sitting atop the Sun Belt Conference, at least in our side. And Crum actually wins Defensive Player of the Week for the Sun Belt, too. And honestly, being 5-3 right now is pretty incredible, considering the fact that Lousiana only has 1,279 yards with 12 touchdowns and 19 interceptions. Insane. Sterling only averaging 3.4 with 2 touchdowns. We only have 4 touchdowns on the ground in general. We are not doing well. And of course, no one has broken 350 yards as a receiver, and we're 2/3 of the way through the season. It definitely lies on our defense right here. As we see, we got a bunch of TFLs, max 5 sacks for Lenovoy, and also a ton of interceptions. We got 14 this season with Priest and Sammy leading us. But another big matchup for a number of reasons. I mean, number one, if we win this one, we end up becoming bowl eligible. And also, if we do, we stay atop the Sun Belt Conference in our side. So, let's go out there against Southern Mississippi, who has a clear overall advantage over us, and let's see if we can win this one. Because if we don't win here, we can pretty much say goodbye to any chance we had of getting into the conference championship. And we need to pick this one up if we want to have any chance. Oh, I was hoping the spin move was going to work, but no, 4th and 2. But you know we're definitely going to go for it right here. Why not? 4th and 2, who are we going to hit? I'm hoping Fasano's going to be open. He will. He'll hold on to that one. And we still have possession on the 31. And now we're faced with another 3rd and 8, unfortunately. But we do got Kimball. He is wide open, and we got down on the 12. So let's go with a little bit of trickery here and go with the fake jet. And let's go right up the middle, as that didn't fool anyone. Holy shit. So maybe we are, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but better off putting the ball in the air. Never thought I'd say that with this team, but it looks like that's going to be the case. 3rd and 7. So no matter what, we just need to end up with some points here. Question is, who's going to get them for us? As Boykins gets up and into the end zone, we got ourselves the first lead of the game. We just need to hold it. And we thankfully do have a chance to, but again, we really need to get into the end zone, as we end up hitting Shelley on the out, but he can't hold on to it. That's all right, just 2nd down now. We're going to be fine here. As we end up hitting Fasano, he holds on to it, and we get down to the 7. He did not have a huge window to throw that into, but he did it. Let's go. Great blocks, cut it up a little bit, and we get down to the 6. That's only a 1-yard gain. Sorry, just felt like there was more, but apparently not. And let's just get it up the middle. Let's go. Sterling gets it in, and we got that 1-score lead again. Now we really need to hold it, but that is not appearing to be the case. 3:50 left, still got that 1-score lead. 1st and 10, getting into the red zone. Get some pressure. Great sack right there, and we get a 5-yard loss. Nice when our coverage downfield is actually really good. It allows us to have that time to be able to get in there, and they just run to the outside. And thankfully, we shed off that block, and we take them down at the original line. And I think no matter what, they're going to be going for it. Although maybe not with 3 timeouts. Maybe they'll actually kick the field goal. But, oh, come on, guys. Oh my gosh, I did not think that they were going to switch to him. I will say, that is the one thing that I still have yet to really understand, is what player they switch to when you actually hit switch player. We'll figure it out eventually. It just might take a few years. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I was growing up, I still was never really great at that either, but still, it's just a little wacky to me. Either way, let's stop them up the middle. Thank you. Now we got a 3rd and 1 again. So that means we really need to send the house right here. They may go play action. They do! And we take them down. 4th and goal. Are they going to go for it or kick the field goal? It looks like they're going to try to kick the field goal, but we are going to go into a safe man here just in case. But they kick it. We just need to make sure we hold on to it. And realistically, we need 2 first downs. Just 2. It's not too bad. as we get a really big gain on the first one, and we're down to a 2nd and 1. So this is where they're going to start to take their timeouts. Let's just make sure that we get a yard, and we're not going to on this first one. So let's go 3rd and 1. We're just going with the power to the right. Come on, guys. Just get your blocks. Hold on to them. No, we don't get it. So we couldn't do it on offense, so this is where it's really going to count. Minute 47, they need a touchdown. And they have 1 timeout left. Get over to him. There we go. We get a sack on the first one. And see, like that one too, I thought it was going to go to another defensive lineman, but apparently not. They're going to go with an empty back set. No, how did you leave that open? That's why I had people back in a zone as deep as possible. Because we knew we didn't have the speed. But at least we have a chance to respond here. We just need to find a way to make that happen. Nope, we're going to be across the line. But fortunately, we do only have, 68 yards to go? And a minute 16 to do it with 3 timeouts. We can do this for sure. Oh, no, maybe not. No aggressive catch on that. Now, if these guys were rated higher, maybe I would have a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, we got the first down. Let's go. Sorry, it took me a little bit to think of the word confidence. But here we go now. Let's go. Fasano's going to be open. Oh, but gets hit as soon as he catches it. And I forgot to turn off chew clock. You've got to be kidding me. It's all right. We'll hit the out and we'll get out of bounds. Nope, we did not. So we had to burn a timeout. But let's go. 19 seconds left. We can still do this. I have faith. We got Fasano again. Let's go. Call another timeout. Coach wants to set up for a field goal, but I ain't no bitch. I'm going for the win here. I have a lot more faith in the win if we can get it. And that's going to be a flag. Please tell me that's going to be a pass interference. Let's go. On the defense, let's go. That's huge. So 1 yard line, we're pounding this in. I don't care. Let's go. Get in there. And we got the touchdown. We go up with 8 seconds left. And that just means that we need to protect from a Hail Mary here. So let's just go as deep as possible and make sure that they don't get that out. Let's go. We find a way to come back. I did not think that we were going to win that one. And we take this one 28-24. Absolutely incredible. And we stay in the hunt for the conference championship. And man, not a pretty game, but a pretty decent game for Lousiana. At least for all things considered. But 224 and a touchdown, but no mistakes. And that is the main thing, is Sterling gets in for 3 touchdowns and 90 yards. So much so that Sterling ends up getting Sunbelt Offensive Player of the Week. That's great. Now, Sim might not be kind to us, but at the very least, at least we're 6-3 now, which means we are bowl eligible. And unfortunately, this is going to be a really big game against South Alabama because, unfortunately, they've actually been a pretty good team in our conference. So let's hope we can beat them. And thankfully we do, and we are 5-1 in the Sunbelt, which means that we are actually in a really good spot, and I think we actually have a chance, as long as we beat Troy, to clinch our spot here this week, because they're the only one that really can creep up on us with 2 games left. We had the tiebreaker over Monroe, but again, if we beat Troy this week, we pretty much own it, and we'll end up going up against whoever is in the East. But again, that means that we need to win these games, and the one against Troy is on the road here. 2 7-3 teams going against each other. Please be kind to us, Sim. We need you. And unfortunately, that is not the case. We end up going down, and unfortunately, that means that, yeah, we probably won't end up making it. But we really need to win this one here, because if not, then we really don't have a chance at all. But thankfully, this last one is going to be at home against Georgia State, though. This is a possible matchup that you would see in the Sun Belt Conference Championship this season. But again, we need to go out here, get a win, and hope that Troy ends up losing their last game. But let's go out there and let's just hope for the best. And that's why I feel like the end of the season could actually be really fun. I mean, again, I don't know what's going to end up happening here. I don't know who's going to end up winning. I don't know who's not. I don't know if we're going to make it to the conference championship. I don't know if we're just going to make some lousy-ass bowl game against another team that probably shouldn't be there. But either way, we're going to figure that all out after this game, as Sterling cuts it up the middle, stays up to the 5. So let's get Sterling in motion here. And let's see if we can hit him out in the flat, which we do. Unfortunately, only get up to the 3. But let's get into the end zone right here, because we really need to. As thankfully, he is wide open. No one was pressed out on him. And we knew that he was going to be open right away. But with a minute 17 left, we have a chance to extend our lead here. Let's see if we can get some good yardage, as we're going to have to scramble out. And let's just throw that one out. We're not going to be able to get any yards. I think we just scared the shit out of their sideline, but that's okay. That's not an issue. As thankfully, we end up getting Sterling up the middle, and we're past midfield. Now, barring an interception here, we should at least get some points. That would be ideal. And that one almost could have been one. But we're still in a pretty decent position, so I am not going to complain. As we end up almost getting that one picked off too. He almost jumped it. But we need a big 3rd and 10 play right here. And thankfully, we're going to get him on the out. He doesn't even put his hands out to grab it. And despite the fact that they want us to punt it here, we are not in field goal range. I'm still going to go for it. Honestly, I feel like we have a better shot at that, especially if we hit Fasano right there, and we got a chance to score still. So let's keep this up because the time is running. So let's end up hitting Sterling, and he gets hit and gets taken down. It's all right. We still have 2 timeouts, and we're pretty close to the goal line. So let's be quick, but let's also be smart about this. So come on, 15 seconds left. Let's get in right here. And let's just try to run right up the middle. And Lousiana ends up getting in the end zone. Is that his first rushing touchdown of the season? Honestly, probably not. He might have 1 or 2. I know we don't have a ton on the ground, but let's go. We're only up by 8 now, which is just a 1 possession lead. But let's get the screen out there. Sterling's got some speed. And we got some pretty good blocks, and we got ourselves a first down again. Last play of the 3rd quarter. We need to keep this to be able to keep the drive alive. And there we go. Patience, and he holds on to it. We got the first. And, you know, sometimes I just need to hit play offense instead of just the key plays because they did not allow us to get back in. And unfortunately, that also means that they ended up getting the ball back without us scoring at all. But I have faith in this defense. I know at the very least we can keep them away from a 2-point conversion. Getting in the end zone, that might be pretty easy for them, especially when we have a confusion like that. That's okay. Well, unfortunately, they did get the 2-point conversion too, but that's okay. Let's do this. Let's run right up the middle. Great delay. You missed your block, 69. Very unfortunate because that could have been a few more yards, but either way, 2nd and 7. Honestly, we just need to hold on to the ball and be able to pick up a field goal at some point. As Boykins gets out there, let's go, and that is a huge gain. Now we just need to choose some clock. I only say that because at the very least, even if we don't get the field goal, I want to end this game with the ball, at least at this point, as we only pick up 1 on that. Again, we just need to be smart with it, that's all. We're not quite in field goal range, but we're not extremely far from it. Thankfully, Fasano gets open. Gets down to the 31. So 1 more first down right here would be extremely great, and we're going to hit Sterling, who holds on to it. Let's go. So apparently coach is a little worried about our ability to hit the field goal because he wants to continue to go for some passing plays. But no. Let's just make sure we're methodical and smart here. And I'm actually going to go for the RPO right here because he's going to be open. Let's go, and we got a first down. Oh, we're looking real good now. Yeah, and now he wants to go for a run. Okay, perfect. We have 3 timeouts. We're good here. We just need to stay within field goal range and hold on to this ball. As no, that is going to be a hold. Don't push us back. And that, unfortunately, is going to take us back to the 19. The positive thing, though, is we are still in field goal range, and it is still first down. So let's hold on to the ball. Just don't let go of it. The good news here is we're going to be able to center it up. So let's go right up the middle. Let's hold on to it. Let's stay there. Let's get it down to 2 seconds and call a timeout. And not going to lie, this has been the most nerve-wracking game. But we should be able to hit this, and we got ourselves a victory. And now we're going to get to see, did we get lucky enough to be able to make it to the Sun Belt Conference Championship? Because after a 17-14 win to the team that is probably going to make it from the other side of the division, I just need to hope that Troy ended up losing. So moment of truth, are we going to see ourselves in the conference championship game, or are we just making a bowl game? And let's go! We get to take on Georgia State again, although it looks like we are going to be on the road this time. So we are not going to have that working in our favor. And Troy did end up winning, and they're 9-3, and they beat us. But somehow we still won the tiebreaker. Kind of curious what the tiebreaker is. If anyone knows, let me know. So no, don't worry. This isn't a repeat of last game. This time we're going to be on the road facing Georgia State. Again, conference championship. We just need to make sure that we go out, we recreate that magic from the last game, and we end up picking up a win. But after the way the last game ended, this might be a little tough, especially on the road. But so far, it looks like it's really just been a defensive game here. 3-0 with about 2 minutes left. Let's see if we can pick this up. We got him on the out. He hangs on to it. We got the first. And we are only 20 yards away from getting into the end zone. Can we get in there? As we get Kimball right up the middle down to the 6. So I think we have a good shot at getting into the end zone here. We just need to make it happen. As we hit Sterling and we get into the end zone, we got ourselves a lead. And it looks like they fumbled it in the red zone. We just need to get this off. Unfortunately, we did not have much time. I didn't realize that the clock was running. Why did we not call a timeout? I will say that is the one thing that does frustrate me about the Super Sim. It's just the fact that they don't call a timeout when they should to, especially in situations like that. That's all right. We need to pick them off right here. Let's go. He goes down 2nd and 13. And we really need a great possession right here because if not, we're kind of screwed. Because I don't know, again, if we can recreate that from last game. And that is a horrible tackle, and they get in the down to the 1 yard line. Sorry, it looked like they got in the end zone, but no, thankfully they didn't. But still, not looking good. They're probably going to end up scoring here with 5 minutes left as they just go right up the middle. And he just followed his blocker, I guess. But McConnell's wide open on the right, so let's hit him on the speed out. Wide open, there we go. We got ourselves a first down. So at the very least, we just need to tie the game. But getting into the end zone would be so much better as we have to cut this one up. Sterling, let's go. Great gain right there, 2nd and 1. So let's be smart with it. Let's just run it right up the middle to be able to get a first down. And a bit more, we get in the end zone. But man, they have a lot of time. And our defense forces another turnover. And we get the ball right back. So let's just make sure we hold on to this. And we got ourselves a win. But that is going to require us to get one more first down. Or get in the end zone one more time. Which one is more possible? My guess would be a first down, but yeah, that's starting to look less and less likely. But Fasano holds on to a big play. And now all we have to do is make sure that we waste their final timeout here. And ooh, we get some pretty good yards. I thought we were going to be stopped behind the line. And dude, this team had zero promise at the beginning of the season. But this actually just happened recently in the San Diego State Dynasty. Get up to a 3rd and 1. But we ended up starting off the season 1 and 3. I mean, I guess we ended up, what would that have been, 7 and 5? But we made it to the playoffs, which was surprising. Let's get one more first down right here and seal the game. There we go. And I think we got the dub. But it's literally crazy how that just happens. And a team like this that's only 1 stars, we ended up getting the conference championship in a season where we started off so horribly that I didn't think that we were going to score. I didn't think we were going to beat FCS, and we did somehow. And let's go. I guess we just got used to this team over time. And Sunbelt champions, I don't understand it. Even Sim was nice to us in some of those games too. But let's advance. Let's see what bowl we end up getting. And also let's check the stats for the season too. So before we see where we ended up with the bowl, Lousiana ended up having over 2,000 yards. Still not great though. 17 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. How did we end up winning the conference with that? Sterling, 620 with 6 touchdowns. He really picked it up in the last couple games of the season. Boykins and Mama and Fasano all right around the same between 475 and 575. Multiple touchdowns for each. Spread it around pretty well, I'm not going to lie. And defensively, I think this is what kept us in here. Blue, Judge, Lanovoy, all with 9 TFLs. Couple for some other guys too, but realistically, it was really those guys. 9 sacks, 6.5, and then 6. Not bad at all. And then, man, we just had a ton of interceptions. So we were just forcing turnovers. We were just sacking guys in the backfield. Like, hell, I can't be upset at that. We even had 8 fumble recoveries. That's insane. But needless to say, we had no one on our team that was this good. Holy cow, 43 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And needless to say, we did not make the playoffs, and that was really expected. But you never know. But we're going to be taking the 68 Ventures Bowl against Toledo. So even though we're not going to win a championship, let's still try to end this on a really bright note. Let's take down Toledo, who is 9-3 this season, and let's just see if we can have a successful season with all 1-star recruits. I mean, they do have the overall advantage over us, but so did the last couple teams that we played. Let's go out there and let's just have some fun. So let's do it. Our defense ended up holding them early, and I did not mean to do that, but hey, we still ended up picking up 3 yards. So this time, let's not lock onto a player. Let's just throw it to someone who might be able to catch it like that. So we didn't do this all season. Let's do it for fun. Let's go for that quarterback draw. Yeah, man, that's why we didn't go for it all season. So let's punt this one away, and let's, again, leave it up to our defense here. Oh, but let's go. We do get the ball back because of him running into the kicker, and boy, do we get bailed out. So let's have some fun with this newfound life, am I right? Let's end. Oh, that was the wrong guy that I didn't want to throw to. I wanted to throw that one out into the flat, but yeah, the game had different ideas for me. Either way, though, let's go. Do we have Mama open? We do. He couldn't get him in stride, but he stays on his feet. Gets down to the 19. I will say, between all of the dynasties I played, yeah, because of the accuracy of Lousiana, it's definitely the most noticeable thing that I've been able to see from this. Let's go. Good spin move by Sterling for the first time of the season. I mean, what do you expect from 1-stars, right? We should have known that. Either way, though, let's get it out there on the bubble, and Boykins gets into the end zone for the first score of the bowl game. And they have a long drive going on right now as they are down within the 25. But on the 3rd and 12, we need to get through here and pick up a stop. There we go, and we end up getting them down to a 4th and 9 where they got to take the 3. But unfortunately, Toledo has 3 field goals in this game. And we got 2.5 left. We need to pick up a big stop right here, get the ball back, and be able to score. This is one of our worst offensive games of the season so far. And it's against a Toledo team that I thought was actually going to be beatable. And honestly, they still are. We just need to keep them out of the end zone. But my goodness, man, I don't know how we're not picking up those stops. We need to hold them to a field goal, but we know that it's more than likely going to be them in the end zone. But come on, let's go, guys. Pick up a big stop, big turnover, something like that if they just go for the run again. So let's really sell out for the run here, right? Let's get in there. Let's pick up this stop. We have a lot of guys there, but no one doing anything. So come on, one more time. We just need to pick up this stop on 3rd and 3. Come on, guys. I have a lot of faith in you. Don't go for the jet. They don't, and we end up getting the sack. Let's go. So this is going to give us a shot. Not a big shot, but a shot nonetheless. But unfortunately, I skipped ahead, and we didn't get it. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe that I hit B instead of A. So we had a shot at actually coming back and getting that, but a missed key by me means that we don't even get a chance. And it's not like I can go back and try to do that drive, but unfortunately, that's how we end up going down, and that's how we're going to end this. I mean, hey, for all intents and purposes, dude, we ended 9 and 5 after we started, what was that, like 1 and 3, 1 and 4, something like that. So I feel extremely happy with the outcome of this, but it would have been even better to win that bowl game. But the fact that we won conference is a really big accomplishment here, and I'm very proud of this 1-star team for doing so. Now, it looks like it's going to be Fresno State and TCU in the national championship game, and honestly, I want to go to the next week and just see who wins, because that is a really interesting matchup. Didn't think that it was ever really going to be us, but hey, it's still pretty cool to see that as TCU takes down Fresno State 31-20. So if you can believe it, this lineup right here ended up winning a conference championship and went 9 and 5. I don't see anyone over a 75 on this team right now, except for Boyd. He ended up going up, and a couple of the other guys on the offensive line too. So it's nice to know that we were going to have the protection to really help out. Our defensive line was pretty decent too. Our linebackers were pretty okay, low 80s. Same with the corners. So our defense, again, was really the centerpiece of this team, and that's why they were an 84 overall. Just unfortunate that we didn't have an offense that really developed. But again, with 1-star athletes, what were you expecting? Am I right? Either way, I'm still extremely proud of this team. Again, despite the fact that we ended up losing that bowl game. Lousiana ended up being a pretty decent quarterback, minus the interceptions. Sterling, 629, 6 touchdowns to end the season. But again, the thing that really made that difference was that defense. But at the end of the season, Lenovoy ended up having 10 TFLs and 10.5 sacks. Really incredible. Judge with 11 TFLs, so 6 sacks. Balloon, 9 TFLs, 7 sacks. And then, of course, all those interceptions as well. Despite the fact that they were made up of only 1-star athletes, that defense became pretty elite for the Sun Belt Conference. So much so that we ended up winning the conference because of them and in spite of the offense. But again, in conclusion, can you win a national championship with a 1-star team? I definitely think so. I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult on Heisman as we showed right here, but honestly, if we picked up one more win, maybe 2, there was a possibility that we could have made the playoffs by winning the conference championship like we did right there. Just wasn't in the cards this season. So that just proves, yes, you can end up winning a championship with only 1-star recruits. It's just going to be extremely difficult, and you need a little bit of luck and sim to be able to help you out with it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any other ideas for rebuilds or other stipulations to make a rebuild a little bit harder, you guys let me know down in the comments. I'm always taking new suggestions. But as always, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go down and drop a like. If you're new, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.